Yeah, I was told the other day that I smile probably too much, and me and you had talked about this, Phillip, and I think we talked about it last night. Yeah, it's because I just got done reading or listening to. I didn't read it yet. It's on order, a Nazi death camp book, and it's just made me just. It was weird. I'm walking down the road at
Where
4.
Where the fuck is this going?
No, I'm saying I'm walking down the road in the middle of like 4 in the morning, listening to this shit, and I just can't help but be happy. You know, like this is just so great.
Yeah.
People are mad all over the country over all kind of stupid shit. And I don't have to eat my sandal tonight. Yeah. And that is just wonderful. And then, you know, I just couldn't wrap my head around that. And then I get home and I'm so happy I get to wake my kids up and shit. And once again, you see the news and people are just angry about everything.
And not just that you would have to eat your sandal, but that you would be in a position where the sandal would be an actual delicacy, where you would be thrilled that you even had a sandal to eat.
And it's not just that. I don't think it's you have to make a decision. You have to decide: do you want to eat the sandal, or do you want to wear that sandal tomorrow because you're going to have to march another, 15 miles for no reason. So you have to decide, do I want to be barefoot tomorrow or do I want to sort of ingest this little bit of something today? And a lot of people, they just wouldn't do it. They just wouldn't eat because the suffering was,
What is the nutritional value of a sandal?
Hey, ask Subway. I don't know.
Get that thing pointed right at your
mouth.
Point. Yeah. And you get... He's like, okay, man.
Suck on my chocolate salty balls.
Yeah.
Put them in your mouth and suck them.
Okay. All right, anyway, go ahead.
So Purple Shed Podcast
number 6
for
2021. Ben Barrett Phillip.
Hey, what's up, guys?
So
let's start right
if
here.
Some aliens, right? if somebody came out, I don't know. If somebody came out and they claimed to be an alien, and they said they look human, they claim to be alien. And they say, I'm going to offer you these technologies to show that I'm alien. And we want you to sign a contract. The world, all the countries have your own options. We can give you protection. We want you to sign a contract, sort of a treaty with the Intergalactic Federation of Other Planets and da-da-da. But they look human. And so they say the reason we're gonna give you these technologies is because there's no reason you're gonna believe I'm an alien if you just look at me. And so they give you this box or whatever that converts carbon in the air into fuel. So now you have your energy in that sense. They have another box that creates food, some kind of 3D printed, but it's food. It's nutritional food, and then they can I forget the other one. Health, that they can heal just about anything. So they take somebody that's been paralyzed, maybe a guy from war, a war hero, and they rub the stuff on it, the cream on him, whatever, because it has nanoparticles, whatever in it, and it heals him. So now they show you health, food, and fuel. How long before everybody is on board with that? What does it take for some of those people, not flat earthers necessarily, but conspiracy theorists, to get on board with that? You see what I'm saying? What is it going to take because it seems natural. They come out there to immediately say, oh, that's the government trying to control us in some way. Okay. You see what I'm saying?
Well, I didn't know we dove deep real fast, so I wasn't really paying attention. I was like thinking about the levels on the computer and stuff, and all of a sudden there's this serious question on the table, and I'm like, well, not serious, but very kind of a deep. It's multi-layered.
Here we are.
And here we are. So you're saying an alien shows up and has this incredible technology that can basically save humanity in so many multifaceted ways that we can't even understand how great it would be. This is where I made me immediately think of, when me and Philip had this conversation a couple of times, and we have too, that all the stuff we see in social media and stuff, a lot of it is I don't even know if it's real, like if it's AI creating it or whatever. So I may have to see it with my own eyes before I could even, you know what I mean? Because if I was reading through Facebook or Twitter or something and I saw an article that said aliens landed last night and they have all the technology to say, I'll just go, oh, whatever, and just scroll right past it. You know what I mean? I wouldn't even, it would seem fake to me. So I guess I'd have to eventually start to see it with my own eyes. Is that kind of what you're at? What would it take?
Well,
to
yeah.
believe it?
What would it take for people? Because immediately people are going to go straight to the government's trying to control us. They're doing this, and then let's say this entity is going to different, not just like CNN. Not big news sources, but small news sources, local news sources, doing interviews with them. They're going to all the leaders of the nations. They're going to the president, the prime ministers of different countries and stuff like that, doing these presentations, showing them the equipment, showing them healing somebody in front of the different countries, and it's all being recorded and publicized and all this stuff. So once again, do you think it would take some people would just go years and be like, nah, fuck that. That's not real. Even though there's a system set in every house. Every person gets one of these systems, create all the food they want, create all the energy they need, create, heal them of everything they need.
That they would have this in their house, this box that,
Yep.
that they didn't
3
have
boxes.
to work,
Yep.
didn't have to do anything for food. It just came to them. And they still didn't believe.
No, I'm wondering how long it would take. Is that what it?
Oh,
even
what it would
if
take?
they got the boxes, you think there's some people like, no, this is fucking bullshit. They're trying. There's always this underlying thing they're trying to get at us.
Man,
and you think there would be, just it's natural to be a little skeptic of things, but
why is this alien? Why did it choose us? I would kind of want to know that. Or is it a humanitarian thing?
Yeah,
just goes around like the UN or whatever of the universe and just gives everybody food.
It's like the Bill Gates of Uranus.
Is that an anal swab reference? I like it.
That's very good. It's very clever. That's multi-layered.
Well, I was wondering what Phil was going to say. That's what he said. I was literally thinking Philip hadn't said anything yet.
That's what we get. That's what you get.
I don't even know where. I don't know, man. I don't. I would want to know all kinds of. I'd have all kinds of questions. Why us? What is the deal? Who are these? Good, is it better just to be completely provided for by some intergalactic welfare system, or is it better for us to just kind of carry on like we are? I don't know. You're kind of acting like we don't have a choice anyway. So
no, they would have a choice. You could always opt out if the country decided to. Let's say that the president decided and the government decided that's not good for our country. So, but this confederation would still sign treaties with whoever else wanted to. Say Russia, say China, whoever else wanted to sign treaties with it. They could get, and then they would have protection from it. Like say we signed it. Well, let's say Israel signed it. They'd instantly have protection from Iran. So if they could fire all the bombs they fucking want at them, but because of these technologies they provide, none of those bombs are going to do anything, and that shit's just going to get swept off. So I'm saying, so they're saved. They're safe, and whoever doesn't.
Are they prisoners now as well?
No, they can come and go as they want.
Okay.
Out of this bubble thing.
And then I'd also too wonder: is there some kind of stipulation in this contract with these aliens and the government entities? Because that the people in power, if they're presented these things, they're going to go, well, wait a minute. Let's not tell anybody else about this. I want to use this for me. I don't want to have to work or eat.
It's already.
It has to be.
It's already planetarily publicized.
Okay.
Because it's gone through all the media sources, all the way from CNN down to local Missouri state, whatever.
But maybe because they're alien and they're so advanced in their technology that the way that they would be able to communicate these new technologies to us would be through a method that they wouldn't even have to use mass communication. They would just tell us through telepathy. Or it would just they would be able to have conversations with each individual, and because they're so advanced, they would have a way of answering all of your questions. Like you could sit down, you could think of every single different angle. You could test the food to make sure that it has enough nutritional quality to it when it's coming out of the box, so you're not skeptical that it's Franken meat. Maybe
if they could use telepathy like that, how many people you think would go mad almost immediately because they have another voice in their head that they can't control?
I think that people have multiple voices in their heads that are constantly competing all the time. I think we're infused with multiple spirits that are in constant conflict with each other.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, because you could go any. You could, as a human, you could go any kind of way. You could be a good man. You could be good. You could be evil. You could, you could be a serial killer. You could be humanitarian. You could
well, I mean, have you ever felt love and hate for the same person at the same time?
Oh, sure.
You know, I mean, that's two different spirits of feeling and emotion that's emerging from you because of a single person. You know, but it's not. You've never had a thought in your head. I know you have been because you've said this before, where you have to shake it out of your head, like physically shake it out of your head. And you're like, ugh.
Reset it.
Like you're like, oh, like why is that even like where did that even come from? Like that's not even me, but it is you.
It is you. It's somebody else.
But it may not necessarily be you, but it's definitely a competing interest inside of your headspace that's trying to elicit some kind of response or deliver some type of message to you that you're probably, you don't want to hear that, you don't want to accept that. It's not something that might be within your moral framework, but nonetheless, I mean, we all have those moments when things come up and emerge out of our heads. And where did that come from? I mean, there's
some crazy thought. Just pops in your head,
right?
Well, and that's that whole like idea of, or part of it maybe makes me think of it is that idea that you're not even really thinking. You're not consciousness. Your brain is kind of like an antenna for consciousness, and you're tuned in to these different thoughts that just kind of run through your head, and sometimes you just pick up a crazy one. Does that what I mean?
Yeah, it's sort of just in the ether.
Yeah, like an ether.
We have to tap into it.
Is an ether, and your spinal cord and your brain are like an antenna tuned into some frequency of the ether that's your frequency.
Yeah, and then we can all tap into the same one together sometimes, and then
so maybe the aliens will use that ether to communicate to us through the same means that we have consciousness ourselves. So it becomes like a part of, if we truly have an antenna, they tap into it, then it's like an innate response within ourselves that drives our acceptance of it, as opposed to us having someone from the outside saying, oh, we're giving you this stuff, and we're, obviously after 2020, everybody's, skeptical cat up in here. Nobody's really believing anything that the media is saying. I think that the media would probably be the last institution they would want to deliver these messages through, right?
But yet they just keep on telling us shit.
Yeah, well, and you know what? And you know what? To go back to what Ben was saying too. But seriously,
they
like,
just won't stop.
But the thing, what Ben was saying earlier about, I mean, the conspiracy theorists, how are they going to downplay these new technologies? I think it would be just the opposite. It'd be such a low number of people that would defy the new technologies, because look at how many people are running around still wearing masks on their face and outside.
Yeah. In the car by themselves still.
I mean, there has to come a point in time where you come to the realization that you have been had.
Yeah. And why is there this sect of population that still doesn't? I mean, it's crazy.
It's a growing portion of us that are seeing it and that are not wearing them and doing that kind of stuff. But there's still a large majority of people.
Dude, this morning while I was laying in bed playing on my phone before I got out of bed, I was kind of flipping through news, and there were still articles all over the place. Just, there's cases exploding in this area. Who gives a shit? Who cares? Who cares? Why does anybody care? Who cares? Who cares? Wait, they're literally acting like we're still tripping over dead bodies in the street. Like it just blows my mind.
I know, it's insane.
I don't understand what is the point of it.
So yes, so to your point about the alien technology, I think that a lot of people are more than happy to accept whatever comes through mass communication. And if they're told tomorrow that there's a box that's going to be delivered by Amazon to their front door, and it's going to produce energy and food and currency, and what was the other thing that we were saying? Like health.
Yeah,
health. Yeah. I think the vast majority of people would, without question, accept that box into their house
What do you think that does to people in general, though, once they have that? How long before it seems like there'd be a spike in something? I don't know if it's violence or what, because
a spike in boredom.
Well, that's what I mean. That boredom is going to lead to violence because you're going to be around each other.
Well,
and I'm wondering what the spike's going to be. I don't know if it'd be violence immediately, but
let me ask you,
where does that go?
Would y'all accept this box? Would you accept this box? I mean, it doesn't sound bad. I mean,
if CNN told me about the box, I'd kick that box right off my porch into the street.
Well, there's a good question.
What if?
Yeah, how long would it take you to do it, though, if you saw your mom these people that are important to you, it doesn't matter who it is, I don't mean to name anybody, but just somebody important to you, you see them getting better healthy-wise. Mm-hmm. You see all these other people using these implements. How long does it take you to say, you know what? Fuck. It might not be a bad thing to have that. You see what I'm saying? Because it's easy for me to say, no, I don't need that. But then if my kid falls and breaks her leg, if my daughter falls and breaks her leg, and they're like, I just saw them use this shit on TV, and
the box has been sitting in the corner of your house collecting dust, and you're like, fuck it, I'm just gonna try.
Yeah, they just healed this chick from having like a spinal cord injury, and all she's got is a broke bone. Do I just let it heal up and maybe have her have a click for the rest of her life, or heal her completely with this? You see what I'm saying? That'd be me. I initially don't want to do it, but man, it's when it comes to the kids, it's like, oh fuck.
Well, how long?
That's a good reason why we're always talking about.
And then how long until the hospitals are like completely shut down? I mean, you have this magic.
You don't need
box.
them.
You don't need a hospital.
You don't need to work. You don't need the hospital. Nobody needs to work either. So, right. So what's the point of being a nurse or a respiratory therapist or a doctor? You don't have to go to work. I mean. Do we die? Do we live forever?
Well, yeah, that becomes the issue, right? How long we live, and where's the suffering go? Because that's sort of the point.
What are we trading for this box? Because you can't get this box without, I don't know, maybe you can.
You have to sign a non-disclosure agreement with the aliens.
Well, no,
everybody knows about it.
The people aren't signing it. The government is, and they can back out anytime they want. Out of the treaty.
Well, what happens if they back out of the treaty? What happens to our box?
They take the box. The aliens take the box back.
But I was just getting used to this box.
I know, man.
But
can I just use it for one more night, man?
Anything that you had gotten from the box, like healed. Your daughter's leg got healed, but now you decide you don't want the box anymore.
It's not
like the leg goes.
They take your daughter's
broken.
leg.
No, she stays healed.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so there's no.
Yeah, there's no takesies backsies. There's no takesies backsies. like the cerebral spinal cord, you know what I'm saying? Your injury's back, dumbass. Don't want the box? Fuck off. No, you get to keep all that stuff.
Well, why wouldn't a government want its people to have? Why would we even need government anymore? I mean, what would be the point? We don't have to work, so taxes don't exist.
I think at that point, that whole idea is as a organism, it's promoting some type of evolution on a conscious level, and that's going to be because there's no need for violence anymore, is the idea. Once again, I didn't make any of this shit up. I'm in the middle of a fiction novel right now. That's where all this comes in. I don't know how it ends. Y'all might be asking questions.
I think the lack of resistance is going to be a big problem. You know, the people are no longer going to have a cross to bear. They're no longer going to have hardships.
Yeah, but does that lend itself to some type of evolution that we can't see because of those hardships? Yes, they are very useful to us right now. But without the need for that, does that lead to something we can't really fathom right now? And I might be stepping out of line here thought-wise, but if we can't even fathom what it's like to be this higher existence of God, we can't fathom that. It's so much more, and we're down here on this lower tier, and that God is on this higher tier. What's it like to be on these other tiers in between? And does that allow us to start moving up those tiers towards that, if that makes sense? We don't know that any of those experience suffering anymore. We don't know that. We know our experience. Isn't that making sense?
But the suffering itself is what causes the transcendence
for us.
Well,
right.
I see what you're. if we don't have to focus on it anymore.
You're saying because if we get rid of the suffering, we're not going to transcend. We're not even going to begin the transcendence.
I think
Is that what you're saying?
I think we're sort of discounting and eliminating the human potential to begin with without the box. So I think that we have this immense amount of potential that we're not even able to comprehend, let alone comprehend the full spectrum of what God is, right? So let's not even talk about God right now. Let's just talk about us as humans. We don't even know what full potential we could unlock within ourselves without any external help from aliens or some other interdimensional beings, because we've never fully realized our own potential. We've never fully come together and taken those core principles of morality and placed them in the highest point at which we could aim at, and then unequivocally, unilaterally, everyone aim at it.
Well, I think what made me think of is that if with this box, without suffering, without the need to focus on all these other things, could we get closer to that? What I mean, it's kind of like what. Okay, to me, it makes me think of what idealistic of social. Somebody who's really into socialism or thinks socialism is perfect. That's what they think about it. They think, oh well, everybody will be able to not focus. We don't have to worry. The government will provide health care and a job and money, and you can focus on all this other stuff. We all know that it doesn't quite work like that because this box isn't a real thing. I can't give you what you need as a human. I can't give it to you. No matter how hard I try, you can only get it yourself. But with this box, I mean, if you don't ever have to worry about getting hit by a car, you just heal up. You don't have to work again. You don't have to hunt or anything.
Yeah, but I think you're turning order on its head, and I think people will start to, the box will become God, and people will start worshiping the box. In order for us to have some type of social contract, there has to be some elements of order that are agreed upon. Okay, well, let's go back to Moses and the Ten Commandments, right? So So we all agree that there are these things that we have to do.
This is how dumb I am. For a moment, you said Moses, and I was thinking about the boat, and then it hit me, and that's Noah. That's how dumb I am. I said, shit. Sorry.
No, it's okay. But I mean, we all know we're sitting here right now, and so we all agree that we're not gonna kill each other.
I'm not agreeing.
Like us three, or you just mean society in general?
I mean us three.
Okay.
Well, let's just talk about just in this room right now. Like hopefully nobody's going to kill anybody during this broadcast, right?
Suddenly I feel I'm between y'all, so suddenly I feel more in danger. I can't watch both y'all at the same time.
So,
well, I'll agree too if we get into an argument and we fight and it's a malicious intent. And you get me in something, please, if I tap, you won. Just let go.
Yeah, I'll let go.
Okay. Will you agree to that?
I don't think he's agreeing to it.
Shit. I'm thinking
he's just laughing.
That this is a lot larger of an area than we had in there.
Oh, my God. Could you imagine if one of us would have had a fight in the shed?
Can you imagine three of us trying to go at it in that fucking shit?
Dude, not long ago, it was me, Aaron, Phillip, and Jeremy in there. And were you there briefly?
No,
I don't remember.
No.
And I was showing Aaron leg locks in the thing with
not.
drums.
No, I think and Jonathan walked in.
Yeah, and Jonathan walked in. So there was like 15 people in there at a drum set. I don't know.
Holy shit.
And I'm on the ground with Aaron, like in a leg, like Ashi or whatever. I don't know. Like, I guess I do it. Like, I don't really know what I'm doing, but I know more than you, so I'm teaching you.
I don't know what I'm doing.
Anyway.
So
theoretically, I know more than you.
So social contract, right?
Okay, but you don't think that this? Go ahead. Finish your thought.
Well,
finish your thought.
So I think this box is going to disrupt this order that people are going to start to believe that they can live outside of the rules. Because
what rules?
Exactly, the rules that we all live by.
Law and order.
There are inherent principles and rules that we all abide by, because we know that evolutionarily we've had to develop these certain parameters around our actions, our existence within those actions, because if not, we'll get eaten by the tiger, we'll drown in the water, we'll be, crushed in the avalanche, or whatever. So there are certain ways that we have to behave that are more or less instilled in us from the very beginning, from birth. So if this box appears, now we have this means to live outside of those rules. How long before people at large start living very much outside of the normal bounds, and not in a good way?
Well, so part of this treaty thing that your government's signing is there's things delineated in it saying that the government, however you choose to structure your government, you can change the structure and all. It has to treat its people a certain way, and so certain laws still have to be enforced. Like, you can't go around killing each other. So these are all still in place. Now, speeding tickets, or I don't know how they change, or what. There is some kind of structure that has to sort of stay in place. If not, they step in. Like, if you can't treat your people a certain way, like China, for instance, they would have to change certain things the way they treat people, or North Korea, or whatever. That'd be a really good example. They couldn't treat their people a certain way. They have to change some stuff, or they couldn't. Number one, they couldn't participate in the treaty, and they couldn't get the boxes. They couldn't get the benefits. So there's some law and order still in place, if that's what you're saying. The law and order sort of goes out the window.
I guess what I'm trying to say is human nature itself can be very slippery. And if we don't have definable boundaries, then things can get out of hand very quickly. The line between good and evil divides the hearts of men. That monster lives inside of each and every one of us. It's not like there's this outside influence that's going to come in and change us to be something else. That comes from within and is externalized outward. So, what that box would symbolize for us would be for that line within ourselves to no longer be delineated. I mean, we would no longer have to behave and act out in the way human beings always have.
Yeah.
We would be able to choose. Definitely, we'd be able to choose that route. But what do you think the percentage? Not that we have to put a number on it. Do you think most people would choose to go that route?
I think people would start worshiping the box. That's what I think. I think that people would.
Do you think
turn the box into an idol?
Well, do you think on some kind of small percentage of people would stick to the religions and their beliefs as they are now, and then obviously anything like that's going to garner some worship from some people, whether they're psychopaths or not. We can call them whatever we want. But do you think the majority of people that are strong in their faith, whatever that faith may be, will keep that faith and sort of explain this through their faith?
I don't think the box is going to eliminate. It's going to compromise a lot of people's faith, but it's not going to eliminate faith altogether. And I think over time that would change, and after generations, there would no longer be any faith as we know it. It would be the day that guy showed up and brought the box.
It would be it sounds like Mormonism.
Well, yeah, it would be idolatry. Like the box, the box itself.
The box idolatry.
No, but the box itself would be like the Ark of the Covenant. Yeah. So it would be the very thing,
because everybody's got one. And so
that's right.
I think about, there would be a sect of people, especially people that were alive before the box and then after the box. But what about a newborn 1,000 years after the box, or even a year after the box. That's all they know.
Dude, it's not going to take very long for a cult to emerge where they all wear Nike tennis shoes and commit suicide.
Yeah, but they do that now without these boxes.
Well, that's what I'm saying, though. I mean, so I mean, just imagine like a box that's outside of anything we've ever experienced ever.
But I think that
I mean, the people would just the vast majority of people would lose their minds
for a little while. I think it would become. There's going to be a spectrum, just like anything. There's going to be these people that worship the box, and then there's going to be people that are just like, whatever, it's a box. Yeah, I can look, I can break my arm. What? And it heals me. See, cool, let's go do something. I think there's going to be people that just like, whatever, they don't give a shit.
And then do you think there are going to be people that are going to go off grid completely because they can?
They'll get so used to it.
Let's talk about a box that's actually in existence today. And that's the television.
Dude,
well, I mean, let's talk about how heavily influenced people are by that thing, and it doesn't heal anything. In fact, it promotes things that are extremely dangerous for you to engage in, like sugary drinks and cigarettes and alcohol and all of these things that we know are not good for us that are promoted by a box. And the vast majority of people go home every night and engage in communion with this box. And when this box tells them to wear a mask, socially distance, when this box tells them to get a vaccine, to go to your doctor, to get chemotherapy because you've got cancer, when this box tells them all of these things, they follow it hook, line, and sink regardless of how dangerous the outcome may be for them.
Yeah, but they not only follow the box, there's also billboards and flashy signs all over the place. And, just you can't go anywhere without finding a sugary drink,
Right.
So.
But people literally go home.
Oh yeah,
and commune
and sit in front of it,
with the box.
But then there's also, but the other side of the spectrum is there's people that don't have a TV. I know they're probably a less amount of Americans, for sure, that don't have one. And then there are people that have them and haven't turned them on in a couple of years. They're just kind of collecting dust because they play on their phone all the time or they use an iPad. So the box has changed. It's shifted.
Yeah, the box
it's shifted a little bit, but it's still a box. Yeah,
metamorphosized.
Yeah. Yeah, it became that thing. We take it with us. We take the box with us now. It's not in our house.
And we're very much controlled by these devices.
I know this thing gives me so much anxiety, man. Like I'm not an anxious person, but just getting in my car, like, oh, go get a drive for 20 minutes. I got to find something to listen to, whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
sometimes, yeah, I feel that way a lot, but sometimes I'll press. I can't hear. I'll press the CD button on the radio instead of auxiliary, and then I usually have Tool in there.
Oh, man.
And I'll just sit there and smile the whole time I'm driving, listening to that shit.
I do like it when I can finally put on some kind of music, but I use my phone usually to do it too.
Well, and I do that a lot too, but sometimes I'll be like, oh, what CD's in there? Or my son, he'll want to play with. I got a CD pack in there somewhere, and he'll be like, hey, Daddy, let me look at them. They'll have pictures on them. I like this picture. Put this one in. Let's see what that is. Like, oh no, we don't want to listen to that shit. I don't like that mood that puts me in right now, But he likes the one with all the eyes on it, which is Tool.
Yeah,
which is really cool.
Opiate? Is that what that is?
No, that one's it's 10,000 Days.
Oh yeah. Okay.
But yeah, so luckily I can press that CD button.
Well,
anyways,
I don't
lots
know.
of anxiety.
Just because it's like I got to put something on, or I got to check this, or I got to use the bathroom or something. I'm not gonna flip through Facebook or whatever, and it's And then I realized, like, why am I doing this? I just, we've talked about this a lot. Just, why am I looking at this shit? I got stuff to go do.
When people go to the bathroom, I was so. I borrowed a book from you. I borrowed a book, The Alchemist.
Oh, okay.
And instead, I have books. I read books on my phone as well.
Yeah.
But I was so enthralled with this book that I would go to the bathroom and I'd pull my phone and I'd wait a minute. And I would run back out of the bathroom and find the book and bring that with me and leave my phone wherever it was. I was so enthralled with that book.
Yeah.
And then it got me to where I was leaving books in there. And then I got sort of where I quit leaving books in there. And I thought, man, how gross is that if you just leave a book in the bathroom? Because they say if your toothbrush is too close to your toilet, it's probably got whatever on it. Like, and then anybody comes in here, and that's gross. So now
It'll help boost your immune
There's
system.
always been a little bit of shit in the meat.
I think there's actually supposedly fecal matter on everything.
That's what I'm talking
everywhere.
You actually have to have some exposure to
But
that.
the bigger thing, it wasn't my book, so I couldn't leave it in my bathroom because I had to give it back to
I
her.
used to have a pile of books before my phone. I had a pile of books and magazines in my bathroom.
Ben literally just told us that he left fecal matter on a book that I loaned
You
him.
loaned him.
Now, what's funny is that at least he didn't sign it and then hand it off to somebody.
Who would do that? What are you talking about? Man doesn't know.
No, he doesn't know.
Shit, my headphones fell off.
He doesn't know.
They're not even. Are they even working? So
Half of them. Half of them do.
Half of 'em?
But it makes me, immerses me a little more, which is cool.
Oh, have them half of them work.
Well, no, having something on my head versus not on my head immerses me. I'm looking at my notes.
I got
See what
you.
else we got here.
Yeah, I thought about pulling mine out too.
I got some notes.
You got some notes?
You ever been hypnotized?
Not by a person, but I've definitely been lost in thought, like looking at something mundane, like windshield wipers or a tree moving something, a wind blowing a tree limb or something, and just kind of like dozed off, or ride the line of falling asleep versus not, like kind of just looking or listening to something.
You ever seen anybody hypnotized?
I have.
Yeah, how'd that go? I've never been hypnotized, nor have I been present, and that's why.
So there used to be this guy. He was called the sexual hypnotist, and he would go.
Okay.
No, he would have live shows. Like he would do live shows.
Where?
In the bathroom.
He would, dude. I mean, he goes all over the place.
The bathroom at the 7-Eleven, the corner.
No, look, seriously, man.
so
Like, no, that's like, come on.
Come on, shut up. I'm trying to tell a story.
Well, you asked me if I've ever seen somebody be hypnotized.
We're having fun. We want us to go our way, Phillip. They don't know the story.
All right.
No. Go ahead. Come on.
I'm sorry.
You're not. Apologize.
Yeah, true. All right. So he's the sexual hypnotist.
The sexual hypnotist.
Okay.
All right? So he'll choose people. He'll be like, okay, just random people in the audience. Okay, come up here, and he'll get people to come up to the stage, and maybe there'll be 15 people, and he'll do like a quick little routine with them to see if they're even susceptible to hypnosis. And I don't know, maybe 30 or 40% of the people are, and those are the people that he'll keep on the stage, and he'll do a routine where he'll do like a mass hypnosis set with these people. He'll put them in a hypnotic state, and then he'll call them out individually, give them cues for them to know that they're being cued to come out, and make them perform basically anything that he suggests on the stage. And this guy, he's been doing this for years and years and years.
How do you know that they're actually hypnotized and they're not just going along with the gag? Do you know what I mean?
I think that's part of the suggestibility, though, too, right?
They're just going along.
I think that part of being hypnotized is going along with being hypnotized. So you have to believe that you're gonna be hypnotized or be capable of hypnosis. That's right.
The mask. Yeah.
Mass hypnotism.
Or like chi martial arts stuff or whatever. I mean.
Yeah, that's a big one. Watching those dudes that are fucking running at the guy and he just sort of waves his arm and they fly back
over,
and all startled and shit, and he does that to 30 of them.
Yeah. So to answer your question, I've seen a sexual
And you were present for this?
Oh yeah, multiple times.
Oh wow, where?
Multiple times.
Roughly.
I saw like 3 shows
in Vegas.
in Baton Rouge.
Okay.
Baton Rouge.
Okay.
There's a club. It's been called, God, I don't know how many different names, but it's over there off of College Drive, by what used to be the Gold Club, which is now Penthouse, a strip club.
Yeah.
And then there's a club that, like, if you keep going down that road, it's over there on the left. And I've seen him over there 3 times. I've seen him, and I've actually known like people that have gone up there, that weren't susceptible. They got off the stage, and so I mean, so he picks whoever. Like,
Yeah.
you know, and he's up there doing it, and it's a pretty funny show, dude. You know,
bet,
he'll get people to just do the craziest stuff, and
Like
they will do it. Like, just get on the ground and start humping the ground, or he doesn't ever like tell anybody to take their clothes off.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask.
But he'll tell them to like put their hands like inside their clothes and like
Yeah.
do things like that, and he'll like get two of them like, oh, well, why don't y'all face each other and kiss, like that kind of stuff. And so it's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
That people are that there is a certain sect.
If I'm not mistaken,
people,
it has something to do with your eyes, the way they sort of decide on the quick. If you're susceptible, it's something to do with what you do with your eyes at some point in the conversation or a question. I forget what it is.
Gotcha.
But it's
like some kind of cue.
Yeah,
that you're gonna
something like
follow.
that. And if your eyes don't go up and to the left or whatever it is, then okay, it's not going to work on him. It's not going to work on him.
But I think that we're all to a certain degree susceptible to some form of hypnosis. I mean, that's really what the television is. I mean, your brain waves switch from like alpha to beta within like 7 or 8 seconds of watching the TV, and that's why like a lot of people if you watch the TV for more than a few seconds, and all of a sudden like you're watching the TV.
Yeah.
Especially like a good movie or whatever, you get, and then people
Right.
walk in and they talk to you, and
You're just
what?
Well, when it was
My son gets hypnotized all the time by the TV, whatever the fuck it is. It doesn't even matter if it's on. He just doesn't hear a word I say.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, what's the deal, man? Oh,
sorry.
and Mike just attacked Phillip. You
Sorry.
okay? Are we
Yeah.
fighting right now?
oh,
I'm gonna get
shit.
his leg. That's how you do an ankle lock,
I'm
fucker.
screwed.
Should have taught him the defense.
I should have. Have y'all seen car jiu-jitsu competitions yet? Have you seen that?
I think
Have you?
briefly.
I have.
Yeah. I don't know, because it gave me claustrophobia, like watching it. I was just like, because I was watching one, and they like the guy pinned the other guy like down in the seat, in the seat belt. He was trying to use the seat belt or whatever, and he couldn't move his legs. And I just thought like, oh God, you can't shrimp out of that. Like, what are you supposed to do? It was just weird.
Yeah.
I think finally the guy that was pinned actually got some kind of choke or something, but still. Anyway, I just curious if y'all had seen it.
I think I have briefly. It
Yeah.
seems, kind of scary.
It seems kind of like
But
rapey.
very- yeah, very rapey.
It's like, hey,
You
what
gotta-
would happen if somebody tried to rape you in a car and they in jiu-jitsu class? Like, oh, let's go in the car and go in the parking lot and find out. Hey, this is kind of fun. Let's start
YouTube this.
start training this. Hey, let's YouTube this. I mean, I'll watch it. It had a few thousand views. So. I think they even had like the first competition a while back. It's like I don't know if it's sanctioned or whatever, but probably not. Anyway, what were we talking about? Hypnotized. I don't think I've ever been. I may have been to like a magic show or something at one point and seen somebody. I'm trying to think. I don't think so. Though. Not like that.
Yeah.
Man, I've seen them on TV and stuff. But is hypnotism, if they're not actually under the influence of somebody, and it is just a very, very high level of going along with the gag, like. He's not actually controlling them. They're just willing to participate in this thing. Well, then there's then like just suggesting that like a friend comes with you to jiu-jitsu or something. Could be, like if you just, come on, man, it's fun. You have a good time, you get in shape. And they eventually come. Are they hypnotized that they're going along with you? Or have you hypnotized them? Or are they just going along of their own free will, but they're listening to you and you've suggested something to them? Or try a restaurant or something out. Is it hypnotism?
I don't think so. I think whenever we talk about, or when I talk about hypnotism, it has to do with in the moment, changing the way, your state of mind in that moment right there in almost a dramatic way, if that makes sense.
But that's what I'm trying to figure out. Like,
it has to be this dramatic shift for me to call it hypnotism.
Yeah. But I mean, somebody that will,
right.
somebody that will get up on stage and like hump the stage or whatever. Is this also a person that would like climb up on a table and dance in front of a bunch of people, or do,
that's a good question.
Or do karaoke all night long and not care who the fuck sees them, or whatever? You know what I mean? Like, so are they really under some hypnotism, or they're just a free spirit that'll just get up there and do whatever?
Well, there's also drugs that are hypnotics, like that will induce hypnosis.
Yeah, I've seen some
Is there?
motherfuckers dance on some ecstasy, but they can't dance.
Yeah,
Well,
but
but-
that like
but-
suppresses your inhibition. It makes everything feel good.
But what about that drug in Brazil? I forget what it's called.
The devil's breath?
The devil's breath.
What the fuck is that?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, look
What is
that
that?
shit
Yeah,
up.
that's crazy.
All right,
Where they
y'all
just
talk, I'm
blow
gonna
it in
look
the
it up.
face.
They blow it in your face.
Oh.
I gotta take a piss.
Yeah, sure.
Dude, that shit's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I'll look it up and then we get back to the
Yeah.
devil's breath.
So the plant itself, like there's two parts to it. There's the and I don't really know this well enough to really talk about it, but I know that there's two parts of the plant. One of the parts is a psychedelic.
Okay.
So it'll make you have like a psychedelic experience, and then there's another part of it that can be used, and it is so it's such a hypnotic, like they'll blow it in your face, and just within moments, whatever command they tell you, you'll do it. You'll blow it in your face, and you're like, take me to your house. You'll take them to your house. Open your safe. You'll open the safe. Give me all of the money out of there.
Yeah.
You'll give them all the money out of there. Bring me to the ATM. Bring them to the ATM. Put your card in there. They'll put their card in there. Pull as much money out as you can. They'll pull out as much money as they can. Okay, now give all that to me.
And how do
Okay.
we know that this is a real thing? Again,
They had a Vice episode on it.
and it's called the devil's breath, and it's like a plant thing. It's not synthetic.
No, it's a plant. It's a natural plant.
Jesus.
And it's a natural plant, and like I said, like one part of the plant is a psychedelic, and the other part can be synthesized to create the devil's breath.
I've never heard of it. I'll have to look it up.
Yeah.
I did see the other day that they're smoking scorpions now. Did y'all see that? Like there's some people that
I've not heard
I don't know if they're like drying them out, but there's a picture of a video or a picture or still
What's
from
the
a video.
what's the
There, it's
benefit,
like
the
a
effect?
cycle. I just kind of briefly read over because I was like, well, I'm not ever going to do that. You know what I mean? But it was like, psychedelic, kind of numbing psychedelic sort of thing.
I wonder what kind of scorpions. Is it like high venomous or?
Well, you're back. Y'all talk. I'll look it up. Let's see.
Huh.
I want to look the devil's breath up too and kind of read about it for a moment.
All right, so while you're doing that, are you gonna you got ideas? You want?
I've got a list here. You can go. You can grab something off yours.
So I was reading. I'm still reading 12 More Rules. So I just had some thoughts that I wrote down yesterday while I was reading it, and just things that kind of stood out to me. So one of the things that, and when I was reading this, I took some of his ideas and then kind of mixed them with my own ideas. So this is not everything that he was saying. It's all absolutely 100% influenced and inspired by the book itself. Okay, and some of it is actually like excerpt from the book, like this is saying the things that need to be said, despite how dangerous saying them may actually be. So if we don't have any ideals, that means we don't have any markers or judges to measure ourselves against. So if we lack ideals, we lack hope. And in hopelessness, that's where nihilism manifests. Therefore, when we attack other people's ideals, we're in essence attacking their purpose and their reason for hope that they cling upon. And that's very thing is what tethers them from falling into the depths of hopelessness and nihilism. So that's why, like, when we attack each other's ideals, we get so mad and defensive, because these are the things that we put our hope and our ambitions, that we align ourselves with. So what I said after reading this, I said to myself, they always say that God is like, let God be the judge. Like you hear that a lot. Like, like no one can judge me but God, right? Like you hear that a lot. So you let God be the judge. The judge is the ideal. So our ideals, in essence, they judge us. So it's like this feedback loop, right? So if God is the judge and the judge is the ideal, our ideals are in turn judging us.
When you say ideals, do you mean what our ideal of like a good person is, or an excellent person, or is that what you mean? The ideals like that we try to live up to, honor,
like your principalities.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, let's. So a standard of perfection, a principle to be aimed at. That's the Webster definition of ideal.
Standard to be aimed at.
A principle to be aimed at.
So you're saying let your standards be your God?
Huh?
You're saying let your standards be your God, or your God be your standards?
Well, what I'm saying is, if God is the judge, if only God can judge you, and the ideal is the judge itself,
like the perfect being,
the perfect standard.
Yeah. So we're constantly judging ourselves against this perfect standard.
So
yeah.
So what's the benefit from constantly judging yourself to that standard versus constantly, the whole saying, don't compare yourself to anybody but who you were yesterday? Mm-hmm. How does that? How do those two philosophies intertwine, or
because if you're judging
counteract each other?
If you're judging yourself against the perfect standard, then you have no other direction but towards that standard to live towards, to improve towards,
pushing you in a direction,
which is
towards. But if you only judge yourself against who you were yesterday, you're still only moving forward. As long as your goal is not to be what you were yesterday, as long as I'm constantly want to be better than I was yesterday, you're still moving forward. Obviously, you don't have the ideal in front of you of this unattainable goal as it should be, but
well, I think I'm
trying to understand exactly what it is you're saying.
So I think that if we're trying to be better than we were yesterday, then why are we trying to be better than we were yesterday? Because we have an ideal or a standard we're trying to attain, right? Mm-hmm. Or otherwise, we would not have any ambition or desire.
How do you even know you're better than yesterday if you're not moving?
Yeah. If you're not moving in a direction, if you're not aiming in a certain direction,
just randomly, you might be worse. You just don't even. Yeah.
So the next thing I thought of was the positive emotion manifests through the pursuit of purpose. So goals are a necessary component to align motivations, passion, and purpose, and what drives us inevitably arises from these key alignments. So if we're manifesting our purpose and it's eliciting positive emotion, then what motivates us, what we're passionate about, and our purpose itself, if they're all aligned, then we're moving towards that ideal.
How specific do your goals have to be before, either one of y'all, before you feel like you're moving in a positive direction? Like, do you say, I'm going to have X, Y, and Z, A, B, C, D, F, G by the time I'm 50 or whatever? Or or is it more for you just kind of like, well, I just want to be a better person? And that could be a little loose, I mean, we don't, it can be small little things. Or is it kind of a mixture of both?
So Tammy bought me this daily devotional for 2021, and it's a small excerpt from the Bible, and then it's like it's kind of like a description of the historical, whatever precedent behind it or thoughts behind it, and then it's like a little prayer at the end, and it's just a page. It's short, and every day it's something different, but it's in chronological order of the Bible. So from Genesis all the way to Revelations, like if you read it every single day, you're going to touch on. And I've never read the Bible all the way through.
Yeah.
But I've decided that the way that this devotional set up, and a lot of it creates conflict within myself, because I'm in some Old Testament stuff that's just like, it's weird. Old Testament is weird. But I've decided that I want to read this all the way through to the end of the year. And some days I don't sit down and read it. So if I miss 2 or 3 days, I will sit down and I'll catch those days up. But I'm on track right now. I'm gonna, that's a goal. You know, I know it might sound pretty arbitrary, but it is a goal that I have to, by the end of the year, like I want to have followed this devotional all the way through. And I'll tell you, like, so one of the things that was very conflicting within myself when I was reading it was, I don't know if you've ever read Leviticus. So Leviticus is a book that's I don't know, is it after Genesis or after Deuteronomy? But it's like one of those first books. And when you start to read Leviticus, you're like, man, like, what is this? You know, they tell you, like, before you enter the temple of God, you slay the goat and you spray the blood here and do this in order for you to even, like, enter the temple. Like it's like these rules that they had in the Old Testament. And it really makes you think about how we must have been as human beings psychologically back then, where we needed such harsh frameworks to operate within because we were so wild. We were so just uncivilized. Just we couldn't do this right here. This was I think this was even before the 10 Commandments, if I'm not mistaken. You know,
you don't think people sat and had little, like, spiritual conversations before?
I think people were like, "Oh, ooga booga."
Yeah, like, right. I think at some point, but I mean, well, but they had to. Yeah, maybe, I don't know.
I mean, dude, look what Cain and Abel did. I mean, Cain and Abel were the first. They were the first children of Adam and Eve.
Yeah, and they killed each other. Yeah, killed.
Yeah, because and going back to ideals, you know, Abel was the ideal, and so, you know, Cain, as much as he would sacrifice, it was never good enough. And whether Cain's sacrifice was truly, like, sacrificial in its essence of it's composed as a full, like, this is my heart that I'm sacrificing to the Lord, or if it was just like kind of like a half-hearted, like, well, I guess I'll just like kind of give this a little bit, you know, whatever, you know, sacrifice to the Lord, and then it wouldn't go his way, and then he'd get angry because Abel was the ideal, and he would sacrifice. It was pleasing to the Lord. And that's what happened, you know, in that story. And then Cain, in turn, murdered the ideal.
See, it's always been so hard for me to get through big chunks of the Bible. Because, first of all, there's so many different versions. And it's like, which one do you start with? Which one is truest? Or is that even the right word to use? And the references are so weird, I guess. And I've been to church a bunch, and it's the same 7 or 15, 10 or 15 pages can be interpreted so many ways by even the same person. Oh, it can mean this, it can mean this, it can mean this. And then if you talk about 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 people interpreting the pages. But then on the other hand, that's why it's such an important book in a way, because it's hard to even figure out what is it.
It is the most important book.
Well, like, what is it? Like, it's been around forever. You know, what is it? It's so weird, and there's so many versions. And then we know, like, we even talked about this a little last night. Like, there's the King James, and then that exists because somebody, you know, took some stuff out and put some stuff in. So, and men wrote the Bible, we think, unless it was, you know, I mean, we think it was dictated by Gabriel to, you know, whatever. But so was the Quran, right? The Quran was dictated to Muhammad by Gabriel. Right? Wasn't Gabriel the angel that told Muhammad to write?
Have you ever read the Quran?
I've read some of it, yeah, actually, because I was in college one day and I was walking and said they were handing them out. I just grabbed one.
If you think the Old Testament is fire and brimstone, read the Quran.
It is. Of course, there are sections of it, right? But I remember my initial impression of the Quran. I just opened it. I got to my class. I was there a few minutes earlier. I had the Quran. I flipped it open and I just read 3 or 4 pages of it real quick. And I remember thinking, if you rip these out and put them in the Bible and rip those out and put them in here, I probably wouldn't even know. It was so similar to me. Do you know what I mean? I know that there are sections that are different, obviously. Nobody's arguing that. But those few paragraphs that I just happened to stumble upon, just flipped it open, page 63, read some, and I was like, this literally sounds like the Bible to me. You know, and saith unto you, I'm going to do this, and you should do this. Follow my word, for I am the word of the Lord. Well, that's the Bible.
Praise be to Allah.
Well, but that's just their word for God. I mean, it's just their word for God. I mean, so
after every sentence. I mean,
I guess, but I mean, I've been Catholic. In Catholic Church, is kind of the same thing. You kneel, you stand. You kneel, you stand. Praise be to God. Hallelujah. You sit. I mean, it's just like a little. It's different. I mean, I don't know. I guess
I think it's very different.
Of course, it's. I don't know. I don't know if it's different or if it's just evolutionary. The path of the people that adopted Christianity or the Quran or Judaism, evolutionary, they came from different places. So when they interpreted these books or these works, because I mean the Torah, the Torah is like 15 books and they're all this big. You know what I mean? And then there's several different versions of them. So when you start to interpret your evolutionary path and the way where your ancestors came from and the culture that you have kind of raised, you are also going to send you in a different direction when you start to interpret the word, the divine word, as a culture. It's going to go into different directions. Does that make sense? Like if people that read if you took Christianity, the people that white Christians, and you gave them the Quran 1,000 years ago, and you gave the people in the Middle East the Bible, it might still kind of end up similar. The path we take. Because we would interpret it so differently. I mean, and they all have fire and brimstone in them. They all have death, destruction, stoning, beheadings, fire and brimstone, destruction, apocalypse. They all have that. It's just different, I mean, so.
But Old Testament is more riddled with all of that than the teachings in the New Testament. There's still all of that crazy stuff going on in the New Testament. Mm-hmm. And then obviously when you get to Revelations, it's a whole host of things to come. But when you look at the Old Testament, it shows you just how barbaric we were as human beings, and not in a sense of, I mean, when you're talking about Christianity itself, the books that we read now, I mean, they were first made available for people to even read in the 1500s by Martin Luther. So Martin Luther was the first to actually take the books that were only available to like the highest people in the church, and the people in the church were the ones who told you what the book said. You couldn't read that.
Yeah,
you weren't capable of reading that up into the 1500s, and then that's what spawned the Renaissance, and that's where really we flowered as a society. We were very barbaric, dude. Like, we were so barbaric. I mean,
and I think we still kind of are.
We most definitely are. Most definitely. Yeah. And so I guess my point is, when you read that stuff, you have to keep those things in mind, that things were so chaotic, things were so barbaric, and it was this cycle of the chaos and things all clamming together into this in war and calamity and raping and pillaging, and then an order would set in, a hero would emerge that would rein in the order, and then it would be okay for a little while. Mm-hmm. And then the calamity would come back, and then the chaos would ensue, and so we've had this cycle over and over and over again. And I guess there is an argument for who was Jesus Christ? Yeah. Was he just another hero? in the Bible, or was he the Son of God? And so that's the thing that, as a Christian, you wrestle with. And you're not supposed to just read the Bible and be like, well, it says that in the Bible and that's the way it is. And then you close the Bible and you go on with your life. Like, no, dude, like you literally wrestle with the Bible. Like the Bible's supposed to make you feel uncomfortable. It's supposed to make you question things within yourself. Like it's supposed to make you think like, this is bullshit.
Yeah.
That's how you're supposed to feel. This is the Bible, man. I mean, like it's the most important book that's ever been written. And I mean I stand firmly on that. Whether there's not another book that's historically more significant and important to not just human beings, but the society that we've built, the laws that have emerged, the order that exists.
How many different versions are there
of the Bible? Like, I don't know, lots.
Yeah, but
lots.
Why?
Lots, and it's been translated, through so many different, and you're right. I mean, like you're 100% right, dude. This is a very legitimate argument. The Catholic Church holds on to a lot of books that have never been published. I mean, it's even postulated that perhaps in the depths of the basements of the Vatican, the book of Jesus Christ himself exists. And it's just never been allowed to be disseminated.
Why is that? Why?
So I was thinking about this the other day, especially now. I was thinking about the cancel culture, people canceling books and stuff like that, and rewriting them digitally and taking out stuff. And now we have these new versions. And so what got me thinking about that was the Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. You have all these old philosophers that they were not held in high regard by some higher level people, right? They could have canceled those books, just like the parts of the Bible. Some of it's been canceled or never brought to light, never seen the light of day, because for whatever reasons, we don't know those. But it's interesting that that's even sort of a version of the cancel culture, because they said, no, we don't need to bring this out. I don't know what they're thinking. I don't know anything like that. But it's interesting what makes it through the times is the point of all that. Meditations did, the Bible did, the Quran did, but what doesn't make it versus what makes it's very interesting.
I think you have this competition that occurs at the academic scholarly level, where you have a certain paradigm that has been widely accepted and disseminated, and so you can't introduce things that perforate that paradigm, because then, well, things start changing in that paradigm. It's just like the guy that's on Rogan that studies the South American and like Mesoamerican civilizations. Graham Hancock. Okay, it's just like him, like all the things that he postulates, and that he in his book, his newest book that he puts out there, it goes completely against so many things that academia has built its whole fundamental principles upon, that they're not going to accept that, because this guy, he's out here in left field. He has a lot of stuff that is very much empirically proven and backed, but they can't change the paradigm, and I think that's something that, I mean, that happens in religion too. Religion is a means to control people. I mean, let's not get it twisted. But faith itself is something completely separate, and that's how we're controlled is through that very mechanism in which, like, we have to have that in order to thrive.
But what if there are books in the the basement of the Vatican that they part of the Bible, the Book of Jesus Christ, or there may be 50 or 100. We don't have any idea.
We have no idea.
We have no idea. There could be none. But if there are, and if you think that maybe religion is a mechanism of control, that seems like knowledge is power, control. And if a faith is based on a fraction of the reality, I guess we have to just hope that the Almighty God, Creator, knows that we don't know the whole story? And is he going to hold, or she, he, whatever, it, going to hold the people that are keeping the books a secret? Is he going to hold them accountable for hoarding that knowledge?
I think
leading people in the wrong direction.
I think what it may be even more than that is maybe there's something that's greater than what we're able to comprehend or see as the means at which things are evolving in the way that they are. We're, as human beings, we have this tendency to question reality and to question things, and it's very easy to like sit here and criticize and question faith or question science or any of that kind of stuff. But maybe because we're so limited in our ability and our consciousness, maybe there are things going on outside, and let's say like let's call it the ideal, like let's call it God. Maybe God is working outside of the frame of work that we work in. So how can we even question it? Like if God truly exists, and we can agree that something initiated the Big Bang. Somehow the Big Bang occurred, and we're going to go strictly physical here, and say that we live in this reality, this third dimensional, fourth dimensional reality. Okay, God operates outside of that. God doesn't operate within the framework of time, or any cardinal direction, or mass itself. So how are we even able to conceptualize that? They write books about the Son of God coming down, and because things were so barbaric, and if you read the God of the Old Testament, the God of the Old Testament seems like a completely different God than the God of the New Testament. The God of the Old Testament is like, you follow these strict rules. If you fall outside of this, you're going to hell. Period.
So here's a question real quick. I asked earlier about the different versions of the Bible. Are there any churches, and this is a very ignorant question on my part, that deal with both the Old Testament and New Testament, or do they all do that? Or
I think they
all
Christianity embraces both
the
Old Testament.
Once
and
again,
New
I
Testament.
don't know.
Yeah.
So if I go to like say Church A, sometimes we would talk about passages from the Old Testament. Sometimes
absolutely.
They talk. Okay.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. I didn't even interrupt.
No, it's okay.
Before I lost that.
Anyway, it just seems like that there's two separate gods at work. It's like there's this strict, foundational, principled God in the Old Testament, and in the New Testament, it's like once his son came down here and was presented with all of the sins that we are susceptible to, and he was able to die without succumbing to the sin of man. It's like his word was about love, and it was about forgiveness. The God of the Old Testament was not about love and forgiveness. The God of the Old Testament was like a completely different thing going on, and again, wrestling with it. I mean, how do you reconcile those things? Okay, I don't know. I don't know. Like how can you reconcile that maybe, the modern interpretation of the Bible isn't exactly what was written in Aramaic or in Hebrew? I don't know. I don't speak. I can't read in Hebrew. I can't read in Latin. I can't read in Aramaic. I can't read in Greek. I can't read in these other languages that the original text was translated through or from. But I do have faith in the fact that there is so much knowledge in that book, and you will, as a human being, gain so much perspective from reading it, and it will make you go inside of yourself and pull out those conflicts and find out what's going on inside of you. I mean, that's where I'm at with it right now, man. I mean, I have, and I'm the last person to talk about Scripture and God, dude. I mean, you know, I will tell you, I am a Christian. You know, I do have faith. I follow the faith, and I'm trying to I'm trying to get more in the Word and to understand more not just the Bible itself, but the historical context, of the things that happened throughout the Bible. But I will say that you know, it's something that it takes a lifetime.
Yeah.
You know, it takes a lifetime to study this stuff. I mean, you can't just pick it up today and say, well, you know, I either believe this or I don't believe this. Like, I think it's something that you wrestle with your whole life, you know, and you're supposed to.
If you choose, I think a lot of people do just choose to kind of ignore that path or that part of reality. Just like, I'm not going to look at the Bible or these religious texts because whatever, insert whatever reason you want. I'm lazy. I can't figure out how to interpret it. Nobody knows. It was written by man. There's all these different versions of it. So who knows which one is the right one? That God changes at this seemingly arbitrary point from this vengeful Old Testament God to this New Testament God. Did he really, or is that just our interpretation of a shift in civilization? So we restructured our book to conform to that. I don't know. But yeah, if you do try to follow it, I think in general, you know, most people that probably try to figure it out or at least seemingly going down a good path.
I think it's universally accepted though that Jesus Christ was an actual human being that did live.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I don't think now whether or not you believe he was a magical, you know, the Son of God or, you know, whatever else. I don't think that what's in dispute here is his actual existence, because I think that there's plenty of historical evidence to suggest that he was actually a true human being.
I mean, that's whatever most experts that I've listened to on TV, podcast, radio seem to agree that he was a real person.
Right.
Yeah. I just wondered it's so complicated though. It's so complicated to figure out. It's more like an inside. It's your own kind of journey through whatever you think the meaning is. And I just wonder, like, would society be better off as a whole if we kind of like said, look, it's for you. You need to read it. You need to interpret it. Just try to be a good person. But then something like Stoicism, you brought up, you know, Marcus Aurelius. I mean, that's really just the pursuit of like getting through all the shit and figuring out whether or not you're a good person. Kind of, sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know I'm leaving out a lot of it, but it's like just trying to be a better person. You know, from the point of view of man, like there's no spiritual being in Stoicism. It's just kind of
not for the most part. I don't think.
I
think for the most part, it's dealing with the suffering and the hand you're dealt.
Yeah,
or the hand you're dealt rather.
You're a tall, handsome guy. Good for you. You're a short, fat person.
Yeah,
well,
you need to work through that. Yeah,
work through your limitations.
Yeah.
So it's another internal journey, but it's in the pursuit of good, but it leaves out the spiritual, religious side. You know, I don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't. I don't think for the most part. I don't know enough about it, but
neither.
I don't think it has the ideal that.
The ideal.
Yeah, in it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you. Eddie and I had this conversation earlier. We were talking about Christianity and discipleship, and I was telling him how much I suck at discipleship. You know, I feel like, and we've had this conversation before. I don't. And let me back up a little bit. When there's like certain stages of accepting like Christianity as your faith, and it's a pretty universally accepted. You know, you get baptized. You know, that's the first thing you do. You get baptized, and like in the Catholic faith, like you go through communion. So then you're able to accept the Eucharist, and then you go through confirmation. And so in Baptist faith, it's like you do the you get baptized, and then you accept Jesus Christ into your heart as your personal Savior, and then there's a step after that that's discipleship, and that's whenever you go out and you tell people about Jesus Christ and you try to turn them into Christians, more or less. And I told Eddie, I suck at that part of it because I don't want to be the used car salesman for Jesus Christ. I don't want to, grab Ben and be like, "Oh, Ben, you really need to accept Jesus Christ, your personal Savior."
There's a deal.
That's a very good impression. That's a very good impression of Beetlejuice.
Yeah, it was.
So, and it's true. I really do suck at this. I don't want to say the wrong thing to someone who may be on the path, and then discourage them from, like, just I feel like like you're walking on eggshells kind of a little bit. Like, you don't want to, like, obviously, like, in an ideal world, man, I would love to see you guys embrace something that's going to make you better men. For me, it doesn't have to be Christianity. I don't want to ever push that on anybody, but for me, I feel like it's done so much for myself and for my family that I would want people to want that for themselves if they saw that through action and not through words. I don't want to sit here and tell you a bunch of word salad to try to get you to believe something. I want you to look at what's actually happening. Like, you can reach out and touch it. Like, man, that's something that manifests right there in front of me, and I would want that for myself, And Eddie said something in there, and I wrote it down. He said when you're outside in the world, you have to be mindful of your actions, because for some people, we are the only church they have. And so when he says church, like, he doesn't mean like a physical place where there's a steeple and a congregation, but fellowship. And the same.
Is that saying in the Bible where if two or more gather in my name, that's church?
That's church,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And so, the fellowship. I mean, we have fellowship when we get together for jiu-jitsu. That's fellowship. We're there for a common purpose. We're striving to be. This is fellowship, yeah. And so when Eddie said that, like, I had to write it down. It was that good. For me anyway, it just touched me that way, where it was like, that's so true, that whether you want to be or not, you're constantly being judged, by other people, and for yourself, sure, but by yourself too, constantly. And if you're going back to the ideal, if the judge is the ideal, and you're rubbing yourself up against that ideal all the time, trying to see where do I measure up to it, then you're aiming at God.
So back to our box from earlier.
Yes.
What if there was one of those in the bottom of the Vatican? Go ahead. They're just like trying to figure out how to bring it out. And they're just like, if we bring it out, everyone's going to fucking war. Yeah. We're not bringing this out. We only have one.
We only have one. See, yeah. That's different than if everybody has their own box. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say is if the spectrum of people, do you think that people that are religious or spiritual believe that all the good things that come to you from God, would think that the box came from God, no matter who?
That's sort of what I was alluding to earlier.
No matter who brings it, if the aliens bring it or somebody invents it on Earth, would they look at it like, oh, great, it's just another step in my spirituality? The God brought us this.
So that's what I alluded to earlier, because I can't remember which country it was in the book where he's talking about it, but at first they were against it. They said, no, we don't need a treaty with you. I think it may have been Israel, if I'm not mistaken. But they said, we don't need a treaty with you. Our faith is in God. We're good to go. And then they said there was a moment in the book where somebody tried to attack, and there was a shield there, and he saw and that was one of the higher guys. And in that moment, he saw that this was a gift from God to him. That's how he interpreted it. So that was the question, and I think that's what he's asking as well. How many people are going to perceive this to be one of those steps? That's from God. If that makes sense, he probably did a way better word. I just threw a lot more words at you.
Do you think people would just say that the box is of God or from God or something like that, or an extension of God?
And I know you said it would turn into God, that some people would start worshiping
I think
it.
it would turn into an idol. Like, they would worship it like it was a God.
But do you think some people would be like, oh, this is a gift from God. This is awesome. That's helping humanity. And they would push that ideal as well. And then some people eventually it would be idolatry, as you said.
I don't know. I don't know. I think that over time, like generation after generation after generation, people will just come to worship the box, and there will be nothing else but the box. There'll be no other.
What if it fades into the background, the box?
I think there would be a sect of people that will just accept it like it's just.
That's
like
what I'm saying. It's just
like a microwave or something.
Yeah, it's a thing that just fades in the background. Cool, I get my food every day, but I'm out here doing this thing. Cool, I get healed. If I get fucked up, I gotta go to the box. But other than that, the box isn't really thought about.
But what other problems would we have to solve then?
Yes.
Once you solve those Maslow hierarchical needs,
the point.
Pollution.
His description in the book is we weren't ready for this yet. He didn't want to come to us as humans yet because we weren't evolved enough yet. But he had to. He felt like he had to. This alien and this confederation. He convinced him because there was something that was coming in X amount of time that would destroy the human society or just the Earth. And so he felt even though we weren't where we needed to be yet, he was going to offer this stuff just to give some help. So we weren't ready for the box. Like right now, we're not ready for the box. Like you said, we haven't evolved consciously or whatever enough yet. So we don't know how to handle that. So that may become an issue, but it may help us push us in that direction. I think is the sort of the point.
So I'm gonna go off the plantation with this one.
Okay.
All right. So I think that we are such a magical species, and we have no idea what we're capable of.
I agree.
I think that if we collectively could come together and all aim at a certain ideal or try to become a better version of ourselves, if we all like it would take everybody. Everybody would have to do this. It can't just be like 80-20. Like it would have to be everybody would have to be all in, balls in. I think that we would be so magical. There'd be nothing stopping us from transcending into the next dimension. And I truly think that that's something that we can't even necessarily comprehend because we're not there yet. We're not even close to being there yet. And maybe we're not designed.
I was going to ask you, do you think we're even designed to be there?
Maybe we're not even designed to go there.
Are we even possibly designed?
I think we are designed to go there, but I don't think that I don't know that we're not in a state right now where we can do that. That's for sure.
So I was going to say, do you think we're designed possibly to not have this enlightenment that like Tower of Babel so that we can't actually figure it out, that we're actually kept separate in more ways than one, culturally, idealistically, all these things that make different humans. Can we even maybe not come together ever? And it's designed to keep us on some plane and not go. I don't know. That's just kind of curious.
From a design point, that
I don't know if
it raises a lot.
Yeah,
of questions
maybe
me.
we've evolved that way, designed. I don't know. Maybe we're designed initially as a clean slate, and we've. Maybe there is a God, and he was just like, all right, let's just see what happens. All right, let's sit back and watch. Do you think is that possible? Oh, they're doing this now. Can you believe it? They got game shows. That's not what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just. Oh, they're shooting each other again. Shit.
Yeah.
What I mean? I don't know. I wish they wouldn't do that. I don't know.
See, one of the things that gets me is the evolution thing. So part of that would be a conscious evolution, right? If we all got on the same plane, we would evolve consciously. And whether we want to use that word or not, because I think some people don't like that word because it has the connotations that we weren't always human. And some people do not like that idea. They'll just flat out tell you they're not mad at you for thinking it, but they're like, I didn't come from a monkey.
Yeah.
And, that's where it goes. That's where that word goes for them. And my question would be, why not? If you look at the science and you can show that these, I don't know, seals and dogs are related in the past, bears and seals are related in the past somewhere, then why can't we accept the fact that we might have evolved from something else? Maybe it was a seed planted to evolve to realize this higher power. And it takes fucking steps. It takes metabolic steps to get there. But that's not acceptable to some people, because that diminishes their value as a human being. I don't know. I really don't know why people don't accept it.
Their sense of superiority.
Yeah.
An entitlement.
That's what I would think. But maybe that's me being rude on some level. I don't know.
I don't think it's necessarily that we evolved from apes, but I think that there was a moment in time where there was a realization of the self. There was some type of self, like, oh, look, that reflection right there. That's
me.
That's me. Yeah. Wait, what am I?
Right.
And I think even to this day, I mean, you go in the bathroom and you look at yourself, you're like, what is this? Like what? Yeah. Like what is this ride that I'm on? I mean, dude,
that's one of the weirdest experiences you can have. Just without any drugs or anything, just go sit and look in the mirror at yourself. For not just brushing your teeth for a couple of minutes, or like, oh man, I gotta look at a pimple. Like, just look at yourself. Just start and almost get hazy. Like where you're just kind of focusing on nothing but the picture, the general you. I don't know how y'all experience it, but I start to kind of melt a little bit, and I start to think, like, what in the world?
Yeah.
What is this? How am I even working? I mean, why am I any different than this microphone? Like, what is the difference? And I know that this may even get spiritual and religious and all that very quickly, but it's a very weird thought experience. Just stare at yourself for 15 minutes in the mirror. Like, you get some weird thoughts.
I get weird thoughts just like if I'm driving, and I'm just thinking to myself, like, this whole experience and time and memories of when I was younger, and looking at my kids and thinking one day you'll be my age and you'll be thinking back like I'm thinking back, and then to know that that there's an end to all of this, and it's coming every day a little closer, every day a little closer. And so we're all on this ride, and we're on this ride together but separately, because we're all experiencing this collective experience. Like it's this thing that we're going through, and we're all experiencing it, and we're all going through this reality, but we all die separately.
So why not enjoy it at the highest level possible for each person? Why not just shove Twinkies into my fucking face and just get that mouth pleasure every moment I can, if I know it's this detrimental end that I can't stop? Because that's what a lot of people do, and they're not going to hell for that. You know what I'm saying? Are they?
I don't know. I'm not judging anybody. I don't want to.
And I'm not asking you individually to judge these people. I'm just saying, generally they're not going to hell for not just for shoving a Twinkie in their face.
There's a lot of people that shove Twinkies in their face.
I'm not gonna lie, I've shoved a Twinkie in my face.
This
it's been a while, but
this isn't an attack on Twinkies, because I ate a fucking ton of cookies.
Oh my god, Ben was the cookie.
Oh my fucking god, dude! They said there was going to be gumbo there. Yeah, they're homemade cookies.
I told you, Janelle makes some fire ass cookies, man.
But yeah, there was supposed to be gumbo there, so I didn't eat much. And then when I went over there wasn't no fucking gumbo, and I was just fucking starving. And I was staring at these cookies, and I ate some cheese and meat, and then I just started devouring cookies.
Yeah, they're good cookies. I'm not gonna lie. And they were like this big.
And I can feel it physically. I feel it today. It's weird. Anyways, so but why not? If we meditate on this idea of death. And this moment in time where it all ends, then why is it such a huge issue for people to just just get these pleasures constantly? Why not indulge into these pleasures?
I think a lot of people do.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people do.
To me, it's
but why
about
not?
balance.
I guess. Yes.
I think to me, it's just it's my own version of balance in a way.
Because holding off immediate gratification is the reward later on for the success that you endure. If you don't eat the cookies, okay, and you train all week, and then you get the Barretts, and he promised you a meal, but all he's got is
promised
cookies.
a meal too.
He was promised in his defense.
You trained all week, okay? You ate those cookies, and you feel it today, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
In my I don't hate myself though. I normally would have.
Now, somebody.
But if you didn't have the
somebody
balance,
else on a Monday started shoving Twinkies in their face, and they did that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Barrett promised them a meal on Saturday. They showed up.
and they already had cookies, and now there's still no meal. Twinkies.
More cookies.
Good thing I brought my own Twinkies.
They ate all the cookies, and you know what today? You know what they're doing?
Donuts.
Twinkies in the face. Twinkies in the face.
Twinkies in the face. Twinkies in the face. That's what I mean to me about balance. Like it's okay. I woke up Monday and I was like, all right, I'm not trying not to have very much sugar this week. And I went like Monday, Tuesday, didn't really have ate light carb and low carb. And Wednesday I may have slipped up and had like a Snickers bar or something. And and Thursday I was like, I don't do that shit anymore. My point is that to have the mouth pleasure of shoving something in your face all day long, eventually I'm going to gain weight and my clothes aren't going to fit. And I'm not going to have as much energy as I would otherwise. And then that momentary pleasure has now turned into non-pleasure. It's turned into pain.
That's why you sacrifice now.
Yeah.
To reap the benefits later.
Yeah.
We're the first species to figure that out. That like we need to wait a minute. Like we can't just indulge right now. Like maybe we need to save this.
You saw where the octopus did that test, the kid test, the marshmallow kid test.
What is it?
Delayed gratification.
Oh, delayed gratification.
Yeah,
I didn't see
they
that.
figured out that octopus can do that. I forget which species, but some of them can do that.
Okay, well,
So
outside of the aquatic octopus, they obviously landed here from fucking Neptune.
Is there a non-aquatic octopus? What in the fuck is that? Is it like a spider? What is a non-aquatic octopus?
No, on Neptune, they're terrestrial.
Just walk around.
Okay. All right.
But it's where the delayed gratification, they ask the kid, you can have one marshmallow now, or wait 10 minutes, you can have two. That's the gist of the delayed gratification.
Okay.
You wait for something more. And they figured out that octopus, some of them can delay gratification.
How did they tell the octopus that?
I read on how they did. I can't quite remember. They did figure out a way to decide.
How did they let him know? No. One now. He's stretching up on the side of the aquarium.
I think if I'm not mistaken, it had something to do with shapes on doors. That they realized that they could, if they pressed the square, they would get this. But if they press this, there would be nothing there. But they'd be a bigger fish
two
later.
of
Yeah.
the thing or whatever.
Yeah, something along those lines.
Okay.
But y'all seen where the octopus inside the aquarium will actually get out of the aquarium and walk across the room.
Yeah, I think for briefly can
You ever seen them crawl out of the ocean onto like the land and grab something and crawl back in the water? That's fucking scary.
Yeah,
that is so scary.
It's weird. They're weird.
Weird.
Yeah, they're like the exception to the rule.
But biodiversity is insane anyway. I mean,
it
caterpillars,
really is.
Butterflies, fish, us, alligators. I mean, it's a weird. We're all microorganisms. We're all over. It's just crazy the biodiversity that exists.
It is.
It's strange.
And how there's like this interwoven interconnectivity between all of us. And if one particular portion of that conglomerate of beings falls off the map, it changes the balance in some kind of weird way where it was like we were homeostatic, everything was cool, and then they fell off, and now all of a sudden we're thrown into chaos, and you know, and you gotta like regain some type of order. Maybe something comes in and fills in the niche, or maybe we're offset, we're off balance by by certain certain few degrees, and now we're all existing, but just kind of differently.
Isn't there some statistic where so many species go extinct like every day?
Oh, I'm sure.
Something weird like that.
Sure.
But then,
there's so many species that we don't even know about.
Yeah, there's still every once in a while we're like, oh, we found this new weird fish or something that we didn't know existed, and now we do. I don't know. So I don't know. No. Biodiversity. So this box that would heal you. Would it? I tend to think kind of like you do, or you alluded to earlier, with this nonchalant attitude about it. I don't know what that means. I'm torn on whether or not that would mean we'd have more time for good or more time for evil. Because I don't understand. If we don't need to feed anymore, if we don't need to hunt, make food, we don't need to go to jobs. We don't have to have a job for money and all that. So because money doesn't even mean anything anymore. I don't know if we devote our time for good or evil. I don't know. And what would we pursue? I don't know. Space exploration.
What are people pursuing now? I think you guys have a lot of faith in humanity, and I applaud y'all for that. I really do. And maybe
necessarily. I think idle hands are the devil's, or whatever that saying is. Yeah. I mean, that's gonna be a large portion of people that are just like, well, I got my box. I can go. I don't have to work. I can let's go do stupid shit. But then there's going to be guys that that are in their garage like, hey, let's solve. Well, you don't have to solve world hunger anymore because you got your box. Let's go to Mars. Let's really dive deep into, what the meaning of life is, or they're really just going to devote themselves to that, and just once in a while just press a button on the box, get their food, go back to the garage or their sanctuary or whatever, and dive deep into whatever philosophical, religious, spiritual endeavor that is kind of.
Or they put on the VR headset and immerse themselves in some type of virtual world.
Well, yeah, now that's so, dude. Have y'all? I played with an Oculus Quest the other day. Have y'all? I think it was one of those. Have y'all messed around with one of those things? Dude, it was fun in a way.
I'm sure it was awesome.
I mean, so I put this thing on, and I got the controllers, and I was just doing the tutorial, like to open your hand, squeeze this button, to close this, to pick up something, squeeze this button. So I'm shooting these bubbles out of the with a little laser gun or whatever, and the kid, there's a table in front of you, and there's like all these little laser guns, and there's like there's a ping pong ball and you can play the ping pong. And it's all sitting on this table. And I did it for like 10 minutes, and one of the kids goes, hey, I want to play with it. And I went, okay. And I took off the things, and I set them on the table, the virtual table, because that's how immersive it is. And they went boom and fell on the ground. I was like, oh, shit, I'm sorry. Because I forgot there wasn't actually a table there. I swear to God I did this. I swear.
You broke that kid's toy.
He was like, did you just break my? I was like, I'm sorry. I don't think if I broke it, I'll buy you another one. But I swear I just thought there was a table there. I totally forgot. I swear. That's how immersive. When I played with it for just a few minutes.
You bounce that kid's head off that virtual table. Yeah. Shut the fuck up.
So going back to what we were talking about earlier about hypnosis.
Yeah. Was I
You were hypnotically engaged.
Sure.
In a virtual world.
But I wasn't doing anything by someone else's power, which is how I think of hypnosis. I hypnotize Ben. I tell Ben to crawl around on the floor on all fours and squeal. And he starts to do it. Is he just doing it? Hypnosis to me is someone else. True hypnosis, 100% hypnotized. You could tell someone you are in control of someone else's being. Whereas what I see as hypnosis on stage is just somebody going along with it. And maybe that is a form of, in a way, it's a form of hypnosis, because you're, why am I going along with it? Only because you said to. So but I'm doing it. But at any moment, if you say, now take that knife and plunge it into your chest, and I go, well, I'm not doing that. I don't mind twerking, to make some people laugh on stage just because I'm silly and I had a few drinks in me and you told me to do it, but I'm not going to hurt myself. So am I really hypnotized? I don't know.
But you put the remote down on a table that wasn't there. So
yeah.
So my question is the AI controlling you?
Are you a dumbass bear? That's my question. Yes. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was trying to give you the benefit of the doubt.
No, don't do that. No, it's pointless. Okay, no, seriously, I do want to know, what's your question? What do you?
Well, I mean, were you being hypnotized by? I mean, whether it's it's definitely a computer program. It's a set of algorithms.
Yeah.
So was in control of you? I mean, you put the headset on, and then you looked down, you saw a table, you saw some ray guns, and you started shooting shit in the air.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you thought the table was real, so you put the remotes down on it, but you went into the world, and I mean, you didn't know what you're getting into, did you? I mean, were you completely blind to what was about to happen?
What do you mean? I mean, I knew I was going to play around.
You knew you were going to play a game, but you didn't know what you were going to play.
No, well, I mean, I don't know how. What do you mean by? I mean, he told me like, yeah, here, do the tutorial, and he set it up for me.
Right.
So I knew what I was getting into. I guess I don't think I realized how easily I was going to let go of a certain amount of reality. Like so am I susceptible of being hypnotized by the technology? And this is another question.
I think we are very much susceptible to that.
And this just made me think of something actually really weird, because I don't really consider myself somebody that's susceptible to hypnotism by you or you. Like I've been to those, I've seen the videos, and I always think, I don't think I would do that. I mean, again, unless it's something silly, like, I've had a few drinks, I'm at a club, there's a magic performance. He calls some people up on stage and makes you stand on one leg and bark like a dog. Okay, I'll do that. I'm drunk. Oh, that's fun. Everybody's laughing at me. But at any moment, I could stop. Whereas with that, am I much more susceptible to hypnotism because it's this electronic? I'm not associating I disassociated the control that it had over me because it wasn't another being making me do something. I was able to let go in a quicker or something.
But are you certain it wasn't another being?
No, but I mean, just going by what I can explain to you.
Sure.
It was an electronic box created by men, and I'm wearing it on my head, and I got these controllers. I don't know. Maybe it is some living, singularity, or we're going, some organism in a way. I don't know. I don't know.
But that's kind of the danger of the technology itself is just how hypnotic in nature it is.
Yeah.
Because you get on your phone, and then you start scrolling through, and you're like, oh, and you're on Facebook, and you're like, whoa, and it and they just keep throwing things on your feed that they know is going to keep you engaged. So you're just you scroll, and you're like, I need to get off of here. Wait, what's that?
Yeah, one more.
Just a little bit more.
One more. It's one more hit. Chasing that dragon, that electronic dragon.
Chasing the dragon.
I don't know. Have you ever played one? Y'all have never played one of those?
No, I'd like to, but no.
It was fun. I mean, one was like a remote control blimp. You'd flying around the room and stuff. And then there's augmented reality too, where if you start moving around, it switches from this totally VR to this. It has a camera on it, so you see the room in your hand. Like if you set the controller down somewhere. And you start to go where did I put the controller? It'll go boom and fade. So now you can see where the controller is, and it'll even I think it even highlighted it, dum, 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 I'm over here. You know what I mean? And then, but you can also still see some of the VR shit too. So you're oh, there's the controller, and you put it on. And once you kind of get it on, it goes boom, back into. It's super. It's fun. I mean, it's
fucking awesome.
I mean, I had a ping pong paddle. I was bouncing a ball around,
That sounds so fun.
Yeah, it was. And then there was this little virtual looking arcade game, and there's a couple of cartridges, and you pick up one and you put it on there, and you go boop, and it goes boop, boop, and then now it's a shooting game, and then you go reset or power off, and then you pull the cartridge out, put another one in, and now it's a duck hunt game, and you're shooting. It's. I mean, you could waste away on it. You really could.
Right.
But I mean, I did. But even though I let go in a way, I knew I was still wearing something. What'd you say?
What'd you let go of the remote?
Yeah, I did. I'm not going to lie, man. I was just he was hey, let me play it. I was oh, sure. And I took just crash. It's oh, damn. I'm an idiot. And there was 7 people there what did you just do? I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I thought this was the game.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
So what happens if we're all sitting here, and then you walk out of here, and then somebody tells you, I want to play.
Yeah. Oh, we're playing right now.
And then you drop the remotes.
That's what DMT's like.
Yeah, right.
To me,
that's what Salvia was like.
You're.
Salvia is
like it's like just reality itself just unzips, and it's just like, and it's like everything is gone, and where you are now was not where you were before, so where is this?
Yeah.
But then Barrett's like still sitting there like, hey, you okay?
I was trying not to let you go too far.
That's what's weird about it, right? You can go into these other. If you're going into another game, we call it a game because it's just a different reality. You go into that with the psychotropics, or you come out of it. I don't know which one it is. You know what I'm saying? Are you coming out of this reality? Because if I take it, then both of you are still here, essentially. And then I'm not, my physical body is, but I leave it for a moment. Or do I come back into the game? You go out of the game. If there's multiple games. Can we all go to that game together? That's.
I think with ayahuasca, it's like everybody has the shared experience, and it becomes like augmented reality.
Yeah.
Like the things appear and everyone sees them. It's not just one person that sees it. It's like everybody sees the lion walk into the room. The talking Buddha lion or whatever it is that people see on ayahuasca. But yeah.
Alex Jones talking about the DMT astronauts, like the people that would like train supposedly in the government.
Oh yeah,
to sit in like lazy boys and like IV DMT into their bodies and go
and map out the other side
realm for extended periods of time, for days at a time.
Right.
And they would all do it together, and they would all supposedly go to the same place. It's what's weird is I'm so much more inclined to believe that at this point in my life than I would, just a few years ago, whatever. Like,
sure,
it makes sense to me. It makes sense to me that, like you're saying, when you do some drug or whatever, are you going into hallucinatory, like a hallucination state, or are you going actually to another place? Is it just a slight little alternate reality? Is it you smoke a little bit of weed, are you just shifting to a different reality? Or if you do DMT, are you going to a totally different place?
I think
it depends. I think it depends on what you do.
Yeah. Some things can. I
think some things will actually transport you to a completely different dimension or reality, and that is inside yourself. So in order to venture out, you're going in. Like, you have to go in. And so, but then I think there are other drugs like let's say like meth, for instance. Meth will keep you up for days at a time. And I think with that, there's a certain veil that gets lifted in the current reality, and it becomes like augmented reality. Because you don't sleep for days at a time. So then you start seeing things that aren't there, and shadow people, and all of the crazy things that are reported.
About meth freaks me out.
Yeah,
I've read a little bit about that. We talked about it.
And you if you stay up for long periods of time, like, you'll have auditory as well as visual hallucinations. Yeah. So it's like these things are always there, but there's a veil, and it's for your own good. Yeah. Like, you're supposed to have this veil, because madness will arise.
Okay.
Once the veil is lifted,
and which goes back to the point earlier about the voice. If the alien decides just to talk to us, it's like they lift that veil on all these normal people,
right,
at the same fucking time.
Right.
And then what did you just say? You said madness prevails.
Madness ensues.
Everyone goes mad for a second. They're like, oh shit, do you hear that? And what do they talk to you? Oh, you can hear him too? Is he saying the same thing? Is it the same broadcast message, or is it like, hey Phillip, this is this, and this, and hey, Barry,
But my message is personalized. Well, it's not talking to you.
Yeah, you don't. It didn't.
You don't hear it talking to me.
Use your name. Is that only thing that was different? Because mine said this, or is it just like? Oh, some people, that's how they're gonna react. They're just fuck. You know, some people are like, oh, it's cool. It's probably just that alien talking about that shit.
Dude, the vast majority,
that fucking box.
The vast majority of people, man, would not be ready for that.
No,
for that transcendence. They are not in a proper mental headspace to actually.
And that's what I was getting at earlier. We're not ready for that, but they decided to come down for whatever reason now.
I think that we would probably be better prepared than most.
You think? I think I'm. Never mind.
What? What do you think?
I think I'm. I don't know. I think you maybe. And probably you, but me, I think I'm gonna be tagging along as much as I can. You know
I'm like, hey, I know that somebody's talking to all of us, but can y'all hold me, please?
Hey. Look, Ben's gonna push us out there and kind of sit behind us, like
yeah. Look, I'm gonna be right there. Y'all don't let me do anything stupid, please. I trust you guys. I'm gonna be right there. Fuck, where's that box head? You know,
I don't know. Hey, so we came back around to drugs again, and I was reading when one of y'all about the smoking scorpion earlier. Right, and apparently it's been a thing for a while. And this article that I kind of briefly read for a moment while you were talking was that this guy started smoking it in the 60s, and he was smoking so much of them that he was actually, and this is in the Middle East somewhere, he was chasing scorpions around his yard, and he had eradicated them around his house. Couldn't find them anymore. So then he had to start traveling to certain parts where they would
traveling scorpion smoker.
Yeah, they basically just set it on a
He
hot
opens
plate.
up for the sexual hypnotist.
Yeah. He said so the high lasts for 10 hours. 10 hours, and the first 4 or 5 hours are painful.
Fuck that.
But then the hallucination turns from pain to this ultimate pleasure, and supposedly he described it as everything dances in front of you and colors and just super hallucinatory state.
So basically, you get poisoned.
You're poisoning, yeah, and it's addictive too. So there's withdrawal symptoms, and he said heroin and hashish have nothing on scorpion. He said there's nothing like it. That's what he was saying. And they said that even they mix it in dried scorpion with hashish and hair and stuff in certain parts of the world, and smoke it with a hookah, like a coal and stuff. I don't know. 10 hours though. It lasts for 10 hours.
Fuck that.
Yeah. No, I'm good. I'm good, homie.
No.
I've never taken a psychedelic. Talking about poison, I've never taken a psychedelic. My brain always goes straight to as soon as it kicks in. Shit, I ate a bunch of poison.
Really?
Now I got to deal with that.
Yeah.
Fuck. Then I have to start navigating that world, but it always goes there first.
Yeah.
Fuck, I poisoned myself.
Yeah.
And sometimes you melt.
Fine.
So I'm always okay, but I gotta.
You'll be fine.
I gotta find that voice in my head to tell me I'm gonna be fine, because a lot of the other ones are just screaming at that point. You know what I'm saying? Oh shit, he ate poison. Yeah. You let him eat poison. You fucking did.
You were there too.
And then that guy's like, "Hey guys, calm down. Everything's gonna be okay." Shut the fuck up. He ate poison. There's a lot going. You're right. There are a lot of voices in our head already.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So y'all don't want to. I got some scorpion. Y'all don't want to smoke it though, right?
You didn't say that.
You want to smoke some scorpion?
No, okay. I'm not smoking.
Yeah, I've got things to do in the next 10 hours.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Oh, look who's
sorry.
Better than me.
Thought we were hanging out today.
Yeah.
I guess not. All right.
Can we do half?
5 hours. And they were even saying the tail is the best part. Well, yeah, wouldn't that be if somebody said, "Hey, you want to smoke some scorpion?" I don't know. I've never done that. What do you think is the best part?
The claws,
the tail,
yeah.
I guess. The tail, right?
It's where all the juice is. Yeah,
it's where all the good shit is. Yeah, so it's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
But yeah, he said he eradicated the scorpions around, in his general vicinity, around his neighborhood and stuff. Because
they're probably all scared of him.
He's chasing. He's running around with a lighter and a knife. Smoking scorpion.
Imagine seeing that guy lives in your neighborhood. Yeah. He's just running around his yard with a knife and a lighter. He never hurts anybody, but fuck, that is weird. You know what I'm saying? He's out there all hours of the night sometimes.
It's like, hey, Ben, where did all the scorpions go?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. You got a problem? You got a problem? You want me to come to your house? You see a scorpion in your house? I'll be over there in a minute.
Yeah, he puts up signs and they put, if you have scorpions, please pull a tab and let me know. I will take all your scorpions for free. I buy scorpions. Yeah. I mean, I guess that'd be a good thing if all the scorpions were gone.
It'll show up on Craigslist, but it's not as bad as the guy that just wants you to pee on him.
They buy scorpions and fix cell phones.
We'll trade cell phone work for
Apple
scorpions.
pie in your eye.
I'll replace your screen for a scorpion.
Yeah. and then he gets picked. He's like, looks at your scorpions.
Nah.
Fuck, you think I'm a crackhead?
Yeah.
The fucking scorpion
So
talking
there's
about?
several hundred different styles, species of scorpion.
What
and
are you-
25 of them that can kill you.
Are you
with
dumb?
A bite or a
Yeah.
sting.
Are you stupid? You think I should smoke that? I guess.
There's short-term and long-term memory loss. It's super addictive.
Sir,
So
are you
just memory loss?
are you
pawning
or are you selling that scorpion?
Yeah.
That's the way I try to sell jiu-jitsu to people.
It's a short-term and long-term
That's how
memory
good
loss.
I am at selling jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, it's like,
I'm like, we just fucking touch each other. You don't fucking come if you don't want to. That's how. Whereas he's like, yo, sometimes I'm the only person that'll ever tell him about jiu-jitsu. But I'm like, nah, it's probably not your thing. We just roll. I'm fucking hurt half the time. Now, I have had other people, no shit, they're students now, that I talked about jiu-jitsu. They never came. Eventually, someone else talked them into jiu-jitsu.
oh yeah. 'Cause you sell it. You sell. You
That's
don't.
what I'm saying.
You sell
It's
it in a
just-
weird way. We've talked
It's
about
so
that.
shitty. But yeah, the scorpions, I couldn't sell that either, apparently.
No,
You're not doing a good job.
I'm not
of
doing
it.
a good job either. I mean, it takes. I think you either want to smoke scorpion.
Yeah,
or you
I
don't.
think
Doesn't really
you-
matter what I say after that.
No, I
Some
think
people
so.
some people see me, and then the next time they see me, it'll be like months later, but I'll have like a black eye, like the same black eye,
like right now,
you know, like, and they're like, I mean, do you always have a black eye? Like,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Did you acquire a birthmark? Like over the last few months?
Is it always your right eye too? Like,
Right?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
It is.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I gave you one on your.
Yeah.
Was I the first one that gave you a black eye?
You're the first one in jiu-jitsu to give me a black eye for
Oh,
sure.
okay, well,
yeah.
Sorry.
But it wasn't the worst one. Professor gave me.
Yeah, that one was bad. About
Dude,
a couple
I
months.
still have like a floating bone right here.
Oh.
Because he cracked my orbital, and it's like, so like you can't see it until I do like that, and it's like you see the little bone popping out.
Are you getting a little cauliflower on your left ear too? I saw that the other day. I was like, "Ooh, Phillip's ear looks a little bigger than it used to look."
Yeah.
You know, it's funny too. I was telling, I think Misha about this the other day. She was talking about how I don't remember exactly the premise of the conversation, but she was talking about, like, you know, sharing information with other friends or her female friends, and like how close they get and the way females interact. And I was talking about how we are. About how, like, she was saying, like, oh yeah, sometimes some girls don't notice things about you, or if they do, they won't even tell you. They'll compliment you because they want to keep this power over you or something. And I'm paraphrasing what she said.
That's funny.
Hopefully I'm not putting too many words in her mouth, but it was like, you know, they won't even tell you.
You
even
look
if
nice today. No, I'm
They
telling
won't.
that bitch
They
she
won't.
looks nice.
Yeah, they
Fuck
won't.
that.
They won't do that.
I want to build her ego up. Yeah.
Whereas, like, a while back, I hugged Matt, and I hugged him, and I was like, "How you been, man? I seen you all." And like, while I was hugging him, I kind of like ran my hands down his torso, and which would be totally inappropriate in any other situation. I kind of like felt him up, and I was like, "You feel good, man? You got a little muscle? You losing weight? What are you doing?" Like, I was just kind of, and he was like, "Yeah, man, I've been here. Look, feel me right here." Like, and that's totally normal for us. But like you, I see you enough to, I was like, your ear's getting a little bigger over there. And it's just normal. Like,
I'm actually losing ear.
oh, you lost a chunk?
Look.
I got some scorpion you can smoke.
You see how like
It's getting smaller?
yeah, like it's like
tightening up?
It's like concaving in right here.
Oh, yeah, I do see that. Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Do you, what?
fucking sucks.
Hey, at least you know what side I pass on.
Yeah.
You know?
That's That's a sign if 1 year's good. You just gotta shove that. We won't know what the fuck's it is. Just open up the guard that way. No, he can't go that way. Look at his fucking head.
Yeah. Does y'all's your bad side on jiu-jitsu, does it go away? When I'm drilling, I have a good side and a dumb side. But when I'm rolling, it doesn't matter as much. Does that make sense?
I can go either way when I'm rolling too.
I mean, I still tend to favor.
I favor one side,
but it doesn't. But when I'm drilling something and I'm drilling my dumb side, I have to kind of think about it. But when I'm rolling, if somebody goes to my dumb side, it's still kind of just a reaction. I don't know. I just figured. It's weird to me how that works.
Yeah, I constantly work on doing the bad side when we're rolling, because once again, you find yourself always trying to go that way, and so I'll be thinking about it a lot, about passing that side or being on that side. I'm like, okay, I don't want to. I always set up the arm triangle on the side. I want to go on the other side,
right.
So I have to do it. So I'm constantly thinking about going that way because I notice me going in these patterns a lot. So,
or you feint to the good side.
Well, yeah,
and then misdirect to your bad side.
You know, it's interesting you say that. I was thinking the other day about how I've been doing this for a little while now, and I'm finally getting to where I actually feel like I'm doing good when I'm rolling with people, if that makes sense. Like, oh, this part's actually, I'm controlling this person that I shouldn't be, or the bigger, stronger, and it's weird. I can't really word it the way I felt that day, the other day. And I was like, oh, that's interesting that I actually feel like good about it. And that's a weird way to put it too, because I always feel good about it, but it's, I don't know.
I want to see.
Yeah, me too.
I know. I'm kind of like, because I love Ben because he's finally discovering grips. He's finally discovering that he can control people that are bigger than him.
Right.
I'm like, dude, you're a fucking. Where have you been? You're a brown belt, and that's just in gi. You've been doing this even way. I know you did like MMA and shit and no gi like way before. Like, where have you been? That's what jiu-jitsu is.
I know.
He's like, hey guys, did y'all know that you can control a bigger,
hey man, you grab
bigger
their
stronger
shirt.
person using leverage and technique?
Grab their
literally
shirt.
jiu-jitsu. You're a brown belt.
I told you I can't sell this
guys,
shit at
all
all.
those other times when you tapped me and made me feel
what was that
completely
about?
humiliated.
What was that about?
You're like, you know what? I didn't do good today.
He's finally figuring out now, after he's killed us all dozens and dozens and dozens of times.
Well, I
hey
guess.
guys, did y'all know you can choke people with the clothing? You can actually use it.
I guess the best way to put it is I actually feel I'm feeling these levels of confidence when I'm doing it. Like, oh, shit. Yeah, that's the best way I can put it right now. There's a certain amount of confidence, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. It actually, that's the best way I can put it.
I got
there's confidence.
All right, man. I'm gonna go when you get back. What?
No, I was thinking about peeing in jars.
It's not that kind of podcast.
Dude, the power was out. Never mind, fuck that.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah,
consult your notes again. Or is that? I thought maybe you were consulting your notes.
Yeah, I was gonna add. Well, I know we're talking about jiu-jitsu right now, but
go ahead.
I'm gonna
consult mine.
I don't know enough about it, and hopefully you do. What would make?
Oh wow!
What? Have you ever heard of jiu-jitsu? I heard you can control people.
Yeah.
No. Oh no. The Federal Reserve.
Oh yeah.
What would make wealthy people want to not have a Federal Reserve?
Wealthy people?
Yeah.
How wealthy are we talking about? Are we talking about somebody that's got like?
It's the question I wrote down based on whatever I was watching was why would the wealthy oppose the creation of the Federal Reserve? What would make that? Why would the wealthy, like the 1%ers, would they oppose it? Because apparently they did in the past at some point. Somebody did. And they disappeared for it. They died for it or whatever. But what would make them oppose it? I don't know enough about it, and that's why I asked. And he might.
Okay, so the Federal Reserve, which is it's not federal or really even a reserve for that matter. It's just a private corporation that can print. Federal Reserve as it exists today for the United States. They create our money out of nothing. There's no backing. They just decide arbitrarily.
So that's why. Never mind.
What's that?
That if they're just making money, then the wealthy
Yeah.
would actually have money.
Well,
they're going to diminish my funds. Fuck that.
Well, okay, yeah, and also too, that's one thing. It would depend on where you are in the line of money creation, because when the Federal Reserve creates money, it does so. We all know that there's something called inflation happens, and inflation happens because money creation just keeps happening. So it's going to, if you have more of something, the value is going to go down of that something over time because there's more of it. But if you get the money first, then you get it at its peak buying power. So when the Federal Reserve creates whatever $1 billion and then deposits it or gives it to a central banking system, the central bank for the government, they get it first. Then they get to decide what banks or institutions get it after them. So the closer you are to the initial creation of the money, the more buying power the money has, because the longer the money goes, it loses. As soon as it's created, it loses money. It immediately loses money.
Yeah.
It's also created with interest. So the private company, the Federal Reserve, creates $1 billion, loans it to the central banks of our government, and says, okay, I'm going to give you this $1 billion, but I'm going to give it to you at 5% interest. But that 5% interest doesn't exist. So how do you get the 5% to pay off the interest? They have to the Federal Reserve has to recreate more money.
Dump that in.
Dump it in. But they create that money in interest as well.
Yeah.
Fractional reserve banking.
Fractional reserve banking is another crazy part of banking. But Ben asked me when you went to the bathroom, what would make... We never got to the answer yet, but what would make somebody who's wealthy...
Why would the wealthy oppose the creation of a Federal Reserve?
Creation of a Federal Reserve.
Why would they oppose it?
Yeah. Why would the wealthy?
Well, I guess it depends on like what level of wealth you're talking about.
I said the same
That's
thing.
sort of
We're talking
what
about
he
somebody
said.
makes a couple $100,000 a year. Somebody's got $10 billion.
No, we're
at a
talking
bank.
about
Like,
these four. The thing I was watching was like these four very, 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 very wealthy people. They own a bunch of companies, and the very wealthy people, and they all died. It was in the same way, and because and they all. That's the other thing they had in common was they all opposed the creation of the Federal Reserve, and that's the road it was going down.
Gotcha.
And it got me thinking. Okay, I don't know what that is apparently. So why? I've heard it makes me sound ignorant. And I am on this subject, and I just got to thinking, why would a wealthy person oppose the creation of Federal Reserve?
So you don't know what the Federal Reserve
Apparently
is?
not.
Okay.
That's what he was just telling me.
Yeah, it is a private company.
It's a rabbit hole.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Read The Creature from Jekyll Island. Read any book, like a couple of books by Ron Paul. He's talked about In the Fed, stuff like that. But yeah, it is a private company.
See, I didn't realize that.
Yeah,
I knew the Federal Reserve made money, and that's why I was like, well, why would they oppose that? I didn't know it was a private company.
It's a private company, and like their board are like all like European royalty, and like it's like people that aren't even from the United States.
Well, they're also another thing, but I'm gonna stay quiet. I'm gonna leave that. I'm gonna leave that alone for now.
They have one of those boxes.
Yeah. But yeah, they just create money out of thin air, and they use monetary policy and all these create crazy reasons why they're going to create and inject more money into the supply.
Yeah, it's a scam.
It's a scam.
It's a scam.
You can't. It's perpetual debt. You can't ever pay it back. If the Federal Reserve creates $1, and that's all they ever created, they give it to the central bank of the United States Treasury. The Treasury distributes that dollar, 10 cents to this bank, 10 cents to this bank, 10 cents, 10 cents to 10 banks, and then each bank gives a fraction of a penny to the people that come to get loans and create businesses and all that. Obviously, a fraction of a penny has a shitload of buying power because there's only $1. But they created it at 10% interest or whatever the interest rate happens to be. But only $1 exists. But to pay back the Federal Reserve, we have to pay back $1.10 or $1, whatever. But you can't because that 10 cents doesn't exist. So even on $1, it's perpetual debt.
Yeah,
and it should never be paid back.
And it's just an IOU. It's not it's
not backed on anything.
Right. It's not backed by anything.
No. It's money. Money is a true social construct.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Does that must occur with any type of currency, whether it's crypto or not, right?
Well, okay. So I watched a pretty neat podcast the other day. I didn't watch all of it or listen, but it was Lex Friedman, and he was interviewing a guy that was talking about cryptocurrency.
Let's go back to him in a second too. But go ahead.
And he briefly, he asked, I don't remember what Lex asked. He asked some really good questions. He asked a question about like, what is the appeal of a cryptocurrency? And this guy said that it creates a ledger where everybody knows where the money is. Everybody knows where the money is going. Everybody knows you have this many, I have this many, you have this many. And if it changes, we can go back and see the progression of the changes and where it changed hands and why, when it was created and when it was sold and bought and purchased. You can look at your own ledger and go back, and it gives power to the buyer rather than the creator of the money, because we are creating the money in a way. Now, it also erases anonymity. I can't even say it. It erases the anonymity. Can somebody else say the word for me?
Anonymity.
And there you go. So that you can't purchase in secret anymore unless you do it encrypted unless you do it encrypted or whatever. Whereas if somebody creates cash, if I have the ability to print cash, I can just print up $50 billion and stick it under my bed, and then go, I'm going to print $50 billion, and then I print up $100 billion and I put 50 under my bed and give the government 50. Well, now I'm obviously very powerful because I have $50 billion that you don't even know I have, because it's cash, it's paper. It's this. The only reason it even has buying power is because we just accept that it does.
Yeah.
Right. Which is the only reason any monetary system has buying power, because we just kind of have to accept it. Monetary could be a bartering system.
Yeah,
because it's too hard. 5 ducks. I have a horse.
It's too hard to trade a cow from California to Jersey. That's why we need the
Well,
money.
and then the other guy brought up a good point, which it makes sense too. But just to hear it in his words, money allows you, a currency allows you to decide when you want to use your money.
Yes.
If I have 50 ducks and you have 5 pigs and we're going to trade, or chickens or whatever, you have to have a use for those 50 ducks, and I have to have a use for those 5 pigs. Whatever. Do you know what I mean? Whereas if you trade me money for my 50 chickens or ducks or whatever, I can decide, okay, I don't want to use this right now, or I can use it on anything. I don't have to just use what pigs are good for, bacon, whatever. I can use them use it for something else totally different. I could buy books with it, or ammunition, or guns, or whatever. So that's just but we all accept as a social contract that, I don't
books, ammunition, and guns.
Yeah, I don't know.
It was heresy.
Yeah, right. Knowledge and weaponry.
Oh my gosh.
Damn it, there's a lot of stuff. I'm wondering how long.
What time did you got to go?
I don't fucking know. There's other shit I want to hit on first.
3:14.
You want to talk about Lex Friedman?
That too. But yeah, I probably need to go soon. It didn't fucking matter. So yeah, Lex Friedman. Go ahead with your opinion of the man.
Oh, I love it. I love him or the algorithm that he is. Or
what was that?
No.
I'm being a little facetious.
Look,
we had this conversation.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes the Lex Friedman, when he comes off a little robotic.
Yeah,
but,
he does, for sure.
I will say
I think
this.
he's autistic a little bit.
Well, I will say this though. If you ever seen his black belt acceptance speech, like he gets emotional in that, and that's pretty cool to see that.
Yeah.
Because he is a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Right, yeah.
And he always not always, but like a lot of times at the end of his interviews, when they're talking about like making the world a better place, he talks about love and how like love conquers all. And that's pretty cool for a guy with that kind of platform, and to be devising the end of humanity with his machinations, for him to say that love is the answer to all. Like I really hope he means that, because he's literally like probably right there in the mix with all of the leading engineers at MIT and whatnot, developing the very machines that are going to run society in the next 20 years.
If they're not already.
If they're not already. Right.
Yeah. But he approaches it, I think, at least a little bit from the whole, like, are we doing the right thing? I mean, he even has those conversations.
Absolutely.
With his peers from MIT.
Yeah, I really enjoy his podcast. I really enjoyed listening to Eric Weinstein. I don't know which one it is. Okay. Anyway,
I know you're talking about.
I think it's Stein.
It's Stein. I think it's Stein too.
I think one day they said it right, and I associate it with Ben Stein's money, that show they used to have. And I was like, okay, it's a Stein. It's Stein. It's Stein. It's Stein.
I didn't realize that he was working on the theory of everything. Like he was working on the
those are hard to listen to. Yeah, I just feel so dumb.
Me too. But it's really cool that fun. Like there's a guy that's working on that, and he's talking about it, and he's publishing like works on it. Like I think he released something in 2020, and I think it's they're saying that it's gonna change everything.
What do you mean?
Like, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what it means. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the whole thing. Dude, go back and listen to. Have you listened to their podcast?
I don't think that one.
Yeah,
I maybe had that when I was going to sleep. Or
he's had 3. I think he's done.
I think he's 3 or 4.
Yeah, he's done 3, maybe 4. Very interesting dude to listen to. Over the course of the last couple of years, also very interesting to listen to his changes in his political philosophies too.
Where, has he moved more conservative or liberal?
Well, I think that he was originally a far left kind of guy, and then of course, when everything kind of shifted, he's more of a centrist now, I guess. And so now that he's more of a centrist, well, he's part of the intellectual dark web, so he's a right wing extremist.
Yeah.
You know how that's how it goes.
If you're not extremely left,
right,
then you're extremely right.
Right.
Yeah. There's what about all these levels?
Right. There's no levels, Ben.
What about just a discourse?
No levels.
There's no levels. Yeah, why can't we just have a discourse, and talk about
no discourse?
No discourse.
No levels. No discourse.
No
anything
levels.
else? Anything else? Can I shoot down anything else?
Solved it all. You've solved it all.
Well, real quick before we go, are there any books since I started thinking about like getting books, like to have physical copies of certain books? Are there any? Because I don't know if they're going to get canceled. I don't know how that goes. But that's what got me on the whole meditations thing. On some books just existed. They lasted rather. Is there anything that you decided maybe in the last year to I need to have this one? I should probably have a copy of this for my kid or whatever. Have a copy for this if shit goes south. This would be helpful.
1984.
Yeah, that'll probably get canceled eventually.
Yeah. If it hasn't already been in the works of or been reformulated.
Yeah, it's got a bunch of footnotes now and some shit's deleted. I don't know.
Who knows?
Yeah. I don't know. I have nothing specific.
Yeah, okay.
I've had that idea before about like digital information, like saving web pages and particular videos on YouTube. And like, this probably isn't going to be here forever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So maybe I should save this. And that actually is the case for some, just some stuff I've run across years ago, certain books and stuff, just, oh, cool, there's a copy of that. We save that, but I didn't follow through with it. It's probably as good as I should, I guess. We take so much of that stuff for granted. We really do. Like, oh, this will always be here. I'll be able to get this. But maybe not.
Right.
Maybe not.
Yeah.
Love is the answer.
It is.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You got to go?
Yeah.
All right. We'll be going back to a couple hours, I think.
Yeah, probably.
I don't know.
At least.
It's almost like 3:20, so at least
That's
a
awesome.
couple hours.
Yeah, it's fun, man.
Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, thanks for coming. Love you guys.
I came in here saying that I wasn't going to talk as much, and here I am talking like too much.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Just shut the fuck up, Phillip. Jesus Christ.
You didn't say anything at the beginning for a while, and when you finally did, what did you say? You said like mayonnaise or something. I don't remember what you said.
I said the Bill Gates of Uranus.
Yes, that's what he said. The Bill Gates of Uranus. We were like, all right, I gotta. You know what? I didn't say this out loud, but I'm glad I remembered. I gotta get a sync clap. So, but let me do that after we say goodbye. So,
all right.
Subscribe, like, tell all your friends.
Or not.
Or not, whatever. We do it for fun anyway. All right, here we go. All right, cool. Sync clap. All right.
Word.
Love you guys. Bye.
Love you
Love
guys.
you too, man.